when you look at the crowds today, you have maybe 5,000-6,000 people here. On the streets yesterday, 1 million people, 1 million Iranians in the street for the Ayatollah Khomeini. Does that not give you concern? Does that not make you afraid?
Because they are afraid, yeah, that's right. And most of the people don't say anything because they are afraid. And they are in silence, you know, they don't say anything.
Is this the silent majority of Iran out here now?
Yes, that's right.
Do you want the Shah to return?
Yes, Shah, return to the country.
Why do you want the Shah? Why does she want the Shah?
دیگه شاه رفتش ما بدبخت شدیم دیگه ریختن تو خونه ما مار با شما اینا رو همه رو بیرون ما شاه میخوایم ما بیچاره ایم شاه کشتنش حلاله کجای قرآن گفته
47 years we've been bleeding in the dark, under the shadow of the Islamic regime, with a stone-cold heart. They silenced our voices, they turned off our light. 58 days without internet, but we still fought the night. Our children took the streets, they raised their empty hands, and the world looked away. Do you understand? Do you know Europe? Do you know what's been done? Do you know Europe? 42,000 souls are gone, killed in 2 days by a regime drenched in blood. Do you know Europe? Or have you just given up? Do you know Europe? Do you feel anything at all? Or did something break inside you while Iran answered the call? Do you know Europe? 42,000 lives, 2 days, that's all it took. Mothers and fathers and sons, did you even look? We stand with Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi, our hope and voice. Millions behind him marching, he is our only choice. He only fights for freedom, democracy and human rights. But you mock him in your chambers while he fights for our lives, to pull us out of this darkness, this century-long night, while you sign deals with our killers and call it diplomatic right. Do you know Europe? Do you know what's been done? Do you know Europe? They hang 60, 40 souls one by one, hanged within 4 months by a regime drenched in blood. Do you know Europe? Or have you just given up? Do you know Europe? Do you feel anything at all? Or did something break inside you while Iran answered the call? Do you know Europe? What happened to you, Europe? What made you so cold? What turned your heart to stone? while our story went untold. Is oil worth more than blood? Is silence worth shame? Because while you negotiate with murderers, we are dying, calling your name. Do you know Europe? Do you know what's been done? Do you know Europe? 42,000 souls are gone, killed in 2 days by a regime drenched in blood. Do you know Europe? Or have you just given up? Do you know Europe? We are still here. We are still strong. Do you know Europe? How much longer? How much longer? How long? Do you know Europe?
To all of our friends around the world, under the yoke of the Islamic Republic, Iran is identified in your minds with terrorism, extremism, and poverty. The real Iran is a different Iran, a beautiful, peace-loving, and flourishing Iran. It is the Iran that existed before the Islamic Republic, and it is the Iran that will rise again from its ashes the day the Islamic Republic falls. So let me be clear about how a free Iran will act towards its neighbors and the world after the fall of this regime. In security and foreign policy, Iran's nuclear military program will end. Support for terrorist groups will cease immediately. A free Iran will work with regional and global partners to confront terrorism, organized crime, drug trafficking, and extremist Islamism. Iran will act as a friend and a stabilizing force in the region, and it will be a responsible partner in global security. In diplomacy, relations with the United States will be normalized, and our friendship with America and her people will be restored. The State of Israel will be recognized immediately. We will pursue the expansion of the Abraham Accords into the Cyrus Accords, bringing together a free Iran, Israel, and the Arab world. A new chapter will begin, grounded in mutual recognition, sovereignty, and national interest. In energy, Iran holds some of the largest oil and gas reserves in the world. A free Iran will become a reliable energy supplier to the free world. Policymaking will be transparent. Iran's actions will be responsible. Prices will be predictable. In transparency and governance, Iran will adopt and enforce international standards. Money laundering will be confronted. Organized corruption will be dismantled. Public institutions will answer to the people. In the economy, Iran is one of the world's last great untapped markets. Our population is educated, modern, with a diaspora that connects it to the four corners of the world. A democratic Iran will open its economy to trade, investment, and innovation, and Iran will seek to invest in the world. Opportunity will replace isolation. This is not an abstract vision. It is a practical one, grounded in national interest, stability, and cooperation. To achieve this, now is the time to stand with the Iranian people. The fall of the Islamic Republic and the establishment of a secular, democratic government in Iran will not only restore dignity to my people, it will benefit the region and the world. A free Iran will be a force for peace, for prosperity, and for partnership.
وقتی واسه غم نی گرچه قصه هامون کم نیست همه خسته این قبولم ما فرصتی واسه ماتم نیست روشن میشه فردا خورشید سرزمین ما سرم باز و سینه سپر بلند میگم جاوید شاه وقتی واسه غم نی گرچه قصه هامون کم نیست همه خسته این قبولم ما فرصتی واسه ماتم نیست روشن میشه فردا خورشید سرزمین ما سرم باز و سینه سپر بلند میگم جاوید شاه روبروم یه واژه یه هدف به نام انتقامه پشت سرم دعای مادر و تو دستم تفنگ بابامه رو زبونم اسم شاه بگینین عشق بی انتفاست هر جا اسم ایران اومد اونجا صدای بچه رضاست فردا می نویسن تو کتاب قصه دیمار بگو با تیر جنگی کشتن بچه های بیگناه رو بگو از بخت مادرها چیر زنا و دخترامون بگو تنها شهید شدیم تا تنها نمونه شامون وقتی واسه غم نی گرچه قصه هامون کم نیست همه خسته این قبولم ما فرصتی واسه ماتم نیست روشن میشه فردا خورشید سرزمین ما سرم باز و سینه سپر بلند میگم جاوید شاه وقتی واسه غم نی گرچه قصه هامون کم نیست همه خسته این قبولم ما فرصتی واسه ماتم نیست روشن میشه فردا خورشید سرزمین ما سرم باز و سینه سپر بلند میگم جاوید شاه وقتی واسه غم نی گرچه قصه هامون کم نیست
همه خسته این قبولم ما فرصتی واسه ماتم نیست روشن میشه فردا خورشید سرزمین ما سرم باز و سینه سپر بلند میگم جاوید شاه
سلام من به تو یار قدیمی منم همون هوادار قدیم
سید سلام چطوری مرد کلی کتلت شدین دایی بدون مدرک سلام بسیجی قهرمان رفتی پیش توسی با پنیر و یه نون سنگک سلام به محفل قرآنیتون سلام به مدیرای بحرانیتون سلام به حاجی اکبر و طوله هاش و خارج و رفقای ارگانیتون سلام به دزدای پول ملت که تش میفتین توی تور ملت سلام به همه شما کرکسایی که دارین نونتون رو میزنین تو خون ملت تا که تش زیر دست و پاک و تک بخورین حالا هی به یه بادکنک بدوین سلام آخر تو زندان باشه وقتی قرار به این آب خنک بخورین مرگ بر ملا متولی ننگ در دنیا ننگ بر دوتا مجاهد چپی بعد از ملا مرگ بر ملا متولی ننگ در دنیا ننگ بر دوتا مجاهد چپی بعد از ملا اینو بگذاریم به خاک میرسیم تجزیه طلبی که به خاک بیرسیم ایران مردمش وطن پرستن از کرد تا بلوچ بری به فاک بیرسی توف به هر چی مرسی است توف به هر کی در پی تجزیه است توف به لوی و همونی که شیفته ی گل ملیگرا تو وطن خدا نفسی هست سر کردستان همه برپا شدن بلوچستان فدای مهسا شدن شمع واحد که شیر و خورشید ما بقی جعلیا تنها شدن شادی باشه واسه همه در میهن کور بشه چه شهر چی اهریمن رخ رو بگی تا اون 6 کلاس سواد و خبرگان و مجد سری ترجیحن شبهای عروس و دامادی باشه برن سلامتی نوش کنن و آبادی باشه لحظت کجاست میدون شهیاده به سمت اتوبان آزادی باشه سلام به نسل ندید پدیدا نبودیم ندیدیم قدیم مدیما شاه بود تو شادی کل میزدین حالا شاه بر میگرده پیک میزنین مرگ بر ملا متولی ننگ در دنیا ننگ بر دوتا مجاهد چپی بعد از ملا مرگ بر ملا متولی ننگ در دنیا ننگ بر دوتا مجاهد چپی بعد از ملا مرگ بر ملا متولی ننگ در دنیا ننگ بر دوتا مجاهد چپی بعد از ملا
فاهنگ به این خوشگلی با نایده بود اسم این عشقانه رو توش بیاریم ولی خب لازم بود دیگه فکر کنم با نایده
Let's go. میخوام بگم از دلم، از عشق به این میهنم، به امید روز شکست دشمن شاه برمیگرده به وطن. برگشتن پهلوی، وحشت هر اجنبی، بلند بگو همشهری شاه رضا پهلوی. نظام رسیده پرتگاه، بلند بگو جاوید شاه. برگشت شاه به میهن، دوای درد وطن. این آخرین نبرده، پهلوی برمیگرده. داره میاد پهلوی، زجه بزن سید علی. راه نجات وطن، پهلوی هموطن. ایران میشه گلستان، شاه که بیاد به ایران. ایران که شاه نداره، حساب کتاب نداره. آخون باید گم بشه، توپ تانک فشفشه. گم شو بیرون اجنبی، داره میاد پهلوی. فریاد بزن جاوید شاه، شعار هر وطن خواه. ما شاه میخوایم نه ملا، بذار بشنوه دنیا. ایرانی داد بزن، شاه تو فریاد بزن. برگشتن پهلوی، وحشت هر اجنبی. بلند بگو هموطن، شاه رضا پهلوی. فریاد بزن جاوید شاه، شعار هر وطن خواه. بلند بگو جاوید شاه، شعار هر وطن خواه. فریاد بزن جاوید شاه، شعار هر وطن خواه. فریاد بزن جاوید شاه، شعار هر وطن خواه. بلند بگو جاوید شاه، شعار هر وطن خواه.
Look at us here today. We see so many flags representing so many nations. We know we are not alone, and we thank you for being with us. For all people around the world who stand today in unity with the Iranian people, this is not just because it's good for us, and you do it out of compassion and care for our rights to liberty and justice and equality and human rights. But understand that it is in your best interest too, to have, unlike this regime that has been propagating terror and radicalism, we the people of Iran are peacemakers and not warmongers. We like to be friends, especially with the free world. We'd like to be able to have the best neighborly relationship with the people of our area and the region, with the Arab countries, with Israel, and all our other neighbors. We are fighting for justice, we're fighting for human rights, we are fighting for liberty, we're fighting to put an end to all sorts of discrimination. Because as an Iranian, I stand here to tell you that I've dedicated 47 years of my life because I think that my country deserves far better than what we have right now. To now understand that their best remedy is to support the people of Iran, because ultimately a free Iran will be your best partner, not just to bring stability and peace, but it will be in your best economic interest and opportunities. Together we can prosper again, and the world will be so different once the Iranian people are free. I am here to guarantee a transition to secular democratic future. I am committed to be that leader of transition for you, so we can one day have the final opportunity to decide the fate of our country through a democratic, transparent process, through the ballot box and free elections. And let's make sure that this time, especially the free nations of this world and their governments, stand on the right side of history.
Well, Durud Patriots, hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to day 172 of Iran Revolution Live with your wonderful and amazing host, Mr. Armin Navabi.
And your wonderful and amazing host, Goldie Ghamari and
Thank you.
Patipto.
Exactly. I was just going to say, we're also joined by Patipto. Welcome, Durud Patipto. How are you?
Durud, I'm doing just fine, and I had the chance to join with you at the start of the live stream, and what's better to start it with you guys.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here, Potito. So President Trump is still live, but he started his live about an hour ago, and I've been listening to it, and it's all about this so-called deal with Iran. So why don't we just go right in and might as well just watch it and see what he says, because this is pretty important stuff, guys, and this adds a lot of context, especially the Q&A part. So Patipto, before we begin, I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you have any thoughts or comments, or maybe some updates from inside of Iran.
In fact, there is huge news and update inside Iran, as I can tell you, ARMIN can approve that what is going to happen. But the main point is I cannot share it with you guys right now. But believe me, a huge movement is ahead of us. And with the morale and what we are experiencing in the social media, as we speak earlier, I think just in a nutshell, I think when this hatred and panicans are showing all-time high in social media, I think it's a huge signal that we are near a pivot point.
Okay.
Yes, we are.
Okay. Very good to know. Wow. Thank you so much for that, Patipto. All right. Are you going to stick around with us while we watch President Trump together?
Of course, I'm going to enjoy my time sharing with you.
Oh, fantastic. All right. So let's just dive right into this. Actually, Armin, you know what? Why don't I send you the link so that if you want to pause it at any point, you can go ahead and do so. The live starts, or actually, you know, it starts about like 10 or 13 minutes in or something. So
sounds great.
There you go. Okay.
Thank you. So, guys, remember, if we pause, don't get angry with us, okay? Because, I mean, maybe I shouldn't pause.
No, I mean, we're here to provide political commentary. People tune in to listen to our comments. If anyone wants to watch this without interruptions, they can go watch it on their own, right?
Right. So we go all over here. Okay, there, visual. It's a little bit after an hour. Oh, there we go. Oh, let me just unmute this.
Thank you. That's a lot of press. That's good. We had a great event. This was something very special. And I want to thank President Macron and Bridget, his really lovely wife, fantastic person, for welcoming us to
Not a man, Candace Owens.
France for an extremely successful G7 summit. I would say it's one of the most successful. And this meeting could not have come at a better time. On Sunday, we reached an agreement with Iran that achieves everything we set out to accomplish, everything and much more. Ending the current conflict, reopening the Strait of Hormuz, and preventing Iran from ever obtaining a nuclear weapon. That's what it was all about. That was about 99%. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. They can't develop it, buy it. They can never have a nuclear weapon. At the same time, with this announcement, or close to it, as people started to think it was going to happen when Iran was making some very positive statements. The stock market has surged to record highs, picking up thousands of points over the last short period of time, thousands of points. And oil is dropping like it has never dropped before at levels that went in numbers down $7, down $8. They've never seen anything like that. But if we didn't do this deal, we could have dropped more bombs for another 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 years. You would never have the Hormuz Strait open.
Guys, Brent is at 77. It has dropped. This means that the Islamic Republic's one of its main leverages was nothing at all. Nothing at all. President Trump has disarmed one of the 3 weapons that the Islamic Republic has, one of the main 3.
Would never have success. Your market would have, instead of going up at levels that nobody's ever seen before, would go down at levels that nobody ever saw before, maybe except for 1929 or whatever. And you know, all the tough guys don't realize that this wasn't a 3-month deal. This was years in the making. You know why? Because I was the one that killed General Soleimani. And if I didn't kill General Soleimani, we probably wouldn't be talking right now about this deal, because he was a mad genius.
Good reminder, guys, Iranians, you know, we're not just grateful to President Trump for helping kill Ali Khamenei. You know, he's also the only president that had the courage to also kill Qasem Soleimani. Never forget this. Never forget all the things that we need to be grateful for when it comes to all the actions that President Trump has taken.
But we're able to replace him. But a lot of people forget that. The tough guys, you know, the tough guys that would drive the country right down the tubes. The past 2 days have provided a chance to discuss the details of this historic agreement with many of our closest friends and allies, including the G7 nations and many presidents and prime ministers. As you saw, Prime Minister Modi was here. We had a long talk. He's a great guy. They are thrilled that we made a deal, every one of them. There's not one nation that came to us and said, please, sir, keep dropping bombs on them. Please keep dropping bombs. The stupid people say that. But I'm thrilled to report, and by the way, those last 2 days were brutal.
Well, I mean, the Iranian people did say, please keep dropping bombs on them, to be fair.
$100 million worth of bombs. And, you know, it is expensive too, by the way, aside from everything else.
Yeah, also Israelis and Iranians.
And they knew I was coming for a third night. We informed them we're coming for a third night. They didn't have their Navy, it's sunk. They didn't have their Air Force, it's gone, not one plane. They didn't have anti-aircraft equipment, so we got free reign. They didn't have their leaders, but they have a new group of leaders that I think is, actually, I think they're smarter. I think they're very smart. I think they're far less radicalized, and I think they're really.
So again, reminder, guys, they're not less radical. I understand why President Trump saying that has helped us cause division among the Islamic Republic, but we do need to clarify that all of these people are extremely radical, and they all have the same goal of preserving the Islamic Republic.
Good. They love their country. You know, you talk about regime change. Nobody will say that, but I guess that's, look, their one set of leaders is all gone. Their second set of leaders is all gone. Their third set of leaders a little bit gone, but for the most part, and frankly, I think that's regime change. I think they're going to behave much differently. I think they see.
Again, I understand why this is, you know, good for causing stress and internal division within the Islamic Republic, but I just want to clarify that no regime change has taken place within the Islamic Republic. It's still the same regime.
A different way of life that they were never exposed to. So the one thing I didn't want to see is I didn't want to see economic catastrophe. If you kept this going, that could have happened. But all I know is every time we talked about the possibility of peace, the stock market shot up like a rocket ship. It never went down. They didn't like it. The people, you know, the stock market is more brilliant than anybody there is, including The people on the stage, other than me, of course. Let's see. I don't know. What do you think, Scott? Is the stock market more brilliant than you?
No, sir.
Oh, that's a terrible statement. All right. The stock market is quite brilliant. And every time we said something amazing, like we're going to settle, it would go up. And every time we said something negative, like, guess what, we're not going to be able to settle, it would go down very big, Peter, right? Very, very big. Tells you something. And you know, I've studied presidents, some good, some bad, some great. Not too many are great. And some really bad. We had one just recently. And the one president I did not want to be was the late, great Herbert Hoover. I didn't want that. And who knows what would have happened. But bad things happen. So the past 2 days have provided a chance to discuss the details of the deal with the closest friends and allies, the heads of countries. They were all here, a lot of them. Far more than the 7, as you know, a lot of them. And they put out a statement. I think President Macron, who did a great job, by the way, did a really fan, him and Bridget, they did a great job. But they all put out statements saying they love this deal because they want to see it over. And they love the fact that the hormones, don't forget, if we were going to drop bombs, let's say we went another month, another 2, 3 months, maybe weeks, could be another 3 months, could be whatever. What do you have left? Got maybe nothing, but you don't have, the strait will never be open because people that own billion-dollar ships, these ships cost $1 billion. They don't like sailing ships or having their ships participate when you go up the coast and you go through the strait and there are rockets flying over your head. They want to protect their $1 billion investment. You wouldn't have oil for maybe years. These are stupid people. But nobody was tougher than me. Nobody hit Soleimani. You know, when I hit Soleimani, people thought that was the biggest thing to happen in the Middle East for 50 years. That was the biggest event. He was the boss of Iran and respected, but he was a mad genius. He was a genius, the father of the roadside bomb. When you see young men, and in some cases women, mostly men, walking around without legs, without arms, with a face that's been blown to smithereens, it's Soleimani, 95%, 96.2 they say or something, 95%. That was Soleimani did it. Happened to come from Iran, and I blew him up. You remember that? I blew him up in the Valley of Death.
He was the first Quetlet. He's the way that he died is the reason why the Iranian people refer to regime officials dying as Quetlets. That was the first time.
He got off his plane and we followed him, and in all fairness, because they've been wonderful to me, Israel, but they didn't want to do that attack. They were all set the night before the attack. They informed me they didn't want to do it. So I had to make a decision. I made the decision to do it. But it was a joint venture, as we say in the real estate business. That was a joint venture between Israel and us. We studied it for a month. We knew what plane he was going to be on almost a month before. He only traveled on commercial airliners, big ones with lots of people, because he knew we wouldn't shoot him down. He's very smart. But we knew he was going to be on that plane, followed him, and then Israel informed me that they won't do it. And I had to make a decision. I had some very good generals, and not the ones you see on television, very good. And I want to thank also Pete Hegseth and General Raisin Kane, who's phenomenal. Okay, these guys are phenomenal. They can't be better. But I had
So, guys, one thing we need to be mindful of, whatever bigger plan the United States and Israel have with each other, some of these statements will, we already have a growing anti-Israeli movement growing inside the United States, and the polls are not going in our favor. And some of these statements might be encouraging more of that, especially among people who look up to President Trump. So we need to become with our content and with our narratives, we need to double down on promoting Israel and finding out the best ways to defend Israel in the United States. So that's something that it's our responsibility to do so, because everybody in the world benefits from Israel, because Israel kills not just its own enemies, but also the whole world's enemies. So we need to work harder in making sure that we have done our part in more Americans and more anywhere, I mean, everywhere in the world, people better understand the contributions that Israel does to protect the whole world.
Some good generals, and I said to him, well, if Israel's not going to do it, we're all prepared. Do we do it? Do you like doing it or not? He said, sure. If you want to do it, we can do it. How well? We'll do it just as well or better. Do it ourselves. We don't need anybody. So we took out Soleimani. One of the biggest events to happen in the Middle East, maybe ever, but they say 50 years, they say 100 years. I was with the Prime Minister of Pakistan. He said it's maybe the biggest event that has ever taken place in Islam. Nobody could believe it. So that's when it started. It didn't start like 3 or 4 or 5 weeks ago. And Obama wouldn't do it. What Obama did was he did the J.
By the way, guys, I do see a lot of you in the chat are, not happy with how things are going, with some of the decisions that President Trump is making. One thing I want you to keep asking yourself is, would it have been better if there was a Democrat in the Washington, D.C.? Would it have been better if there was a Democrat in the White House? And, we're not always going to get everything the way that we want, but use that as a point of reference.
DC POA, he loaded up a plane with $1.7 billion in green cash from banks all over Washington, Maryland, and Virginia. They were stripped of all their cash. They had no cash to do payrolls. It all went into a Boeing 757, a wonderful plane, and they flew it to Iran. And they gave it out to people. They bribed people. They thought they were going to get it done. Then they gave billions and billions of dollars after that. And they got a deal that was a road to a nuclear weapon. I get so angry, I guess. I'm allowed to get angry when I watch the Democrats. They talk about it all the time. We had this deal done. You had a deal that was going to give them legally a nuclear weapon. And if that happened, Israel would have been blown away. And in all fairness to Bibi Netanyahu, who happens to be a good man, gets a little excited sometimes. But he happens to be a very good man. We've had an amazing...
So to be fair, Israel is actually very conservative. And, when it comes to defending themselves, they do their best to not escalate things. Right? It is the enemies of Israel that are too excited about killing Jews, and Israel always just responds. Israel has never started war. Israel always responds to other people waging war against it. So there is no excitement other than the excitement to protect your civilians.
Amazing partnership. He's been an amazing prime minister. We have a little dispute over Lebanon. I say, you can do a little softer touch, Bibi. You don't have to knock down a building every time somebody walks into it that's from Hezbollah. But it's been an amazing partnership. But he will...
Again, I if there are bigger plans, bigger behind the scenes reason for this language, I hope those bigger plans are worth it. But just to be clear, Israel's military does more than any other military in the world to try to reduce damage to civilians. When the way the IDF operates, they go above and beyond any other military on the planet when it comes to try to reduce civilian damage to civilian life when they're taking out their enemies. In fact, some people argue they do it too much, and they do it so much that so many times terrorists manage to get away because of it.
Say we're the big partner and he's the very small partner, and that's true. So he came to the country and he begged Barack Hussein Obama, the president, not to do the JCPOA. He said it could be the end of Israel, and it would have been if I didn't come along. And Obama didn't listen to him. Bibi actually went to Congress and pleaded with them, and he got nowhere. And they had this horrible deal. It was horrible for Israel, horrible for Israel.
By the way, guys, do you guys mind or not, every time like a statement is made about Israel, like let me know in the chat if you think I'm doing it too much. I think, like, especially as an Iranian, given how much we're aligned with Israel and how much we owe Israel, I feel like it's my responsibility to always clarify, always, like, if I think that clarification needs to be made, and defend Israel. I see it as my duty to always come out and give the defense for Israel. But I just want to let you know, I think, as Iranians, the Israelis have always been there for us, and we Iranians need to be there for Israel. So, but let me know what you guys think. Like, do you guys appreciate it, or do you feel annoyed every time I come in and give a defense to Israel?
And that's where it stood. And then I came along and I terminated that deal. It had very little time left. It was a short-term deal. With countries, you need hundreds of years. You don't need 8 years and 9 years. This isn't like you're signing a lease on a candy store in the corner. You need hundreds of years. This was a short-term lease. It expired long ago. Had I let it run, it expired. You wouldn't have been around. A lot of people wouldn't have been around. But Israel would have been terminated. I think the whole Middle East would have been terminated. You saw that when everybody was shocked that all these missiles, they were aimed at these different places. Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE. Think of it. Bahrain, Kuwait. They got hit. Nobody thought that was, even I didn't think it was going to happen. They didn't think it was going to happen. They were going to take out the entire Middle East, including Israel. And if they had a nuclear weapon, they would have used it within moments after getting it. So I made it very tough for them when I terminated the Barack Hussein Obama catastrophe. JCPO.
Yeah, guys, this is something else we need to appreciate. Like, people who forget how much we owe President Trump. Qasem Soleimani is a good reminder. The removal of the JCPOA, President Trump tearing it apart, that saved us. That saved us big time. So don't you ever forget that. Like, these are the things that we need to be grateful for.
One of the worst deals. NAFTA might have been worse, but that was worse economically. This deal was really dangerous, what he did. He gave them everything, including a lot of money, which we don't give them, by the way, just in case you have any question. We'll be giving this out so you can read it and you can see. And it's a memorandum of understanding. If it doesn't get done in 60 days, that's all right. We go back to bombing. I don't want to do that because it's so good. But we might have to, because we're never going to let them have a nuclear weapon. But they've agreed not to, and you'll see that very clearly in the agreement. But then the second phase of that was they were building, or they were enriching material, as they say. I call it nuclear dust. They were enriching material under granite mountains. Granite being, for those not in the construction business, granite being the strongest stone. It's not as pretty as marble, but it's much stronger. It's a lot stronger. Like the new granite I put on the stairs of the White House going to the Oval Office, the black granite, it's rated 1 million years plus. No marble's rated that. Marble's rated 100 years if it's outside. So these are granite mountains. And the B-2s came along and they hit those air shafts in the dark at 1 o'clock in the morning with no moon. They had a beam going right up everywhere. Those guys did a job, and then they were criticized by certain members of the press, like CNN, for possibly not doing that much damage. And it turned out that the damage was far greater. Those mountains collapsed right on top of everything. Nobody's going to get that for a long time, unless we want to get it. We'll get it, but we're the only ones.
Yeah, and United States and China can get it. This is why, just we can't allow the Islamic Republic to just we can't just leave the enriched uranium under that rubble, because we might say, like, well, the Islamic Republic can't get it out, but China can get it out, and the Islamic Republic is a proxy of the CCP. So that means the Islamic Republic can get it out with the help of the Chinese. So that's why we can't just leave it there and think that they can't reach it anymore.
They can, and they say China has the equipment to get it, and we have the equipment to get it.
Oh, there you go. That's exactly what I just said. I didn't know he was going to say that.
And it's actually not valuable. Not a lot of value, but would like to get it psychologically, but nobody's touching it. We also have cameras. That's
so there's not a lot of value to the people who would get it out, but it does have a lot of value to the Islamic Republic, because for the Americans and the Chinese, they already have nuclear bombs, so this is going to be like not that much worth, like it's worth nothing. But for the Islamic Republic, that enriched uranium is everything. It's basically their main deterrence capability, right? So for somebody who has a tank and a fighter jet and an RPG, maybe like a handgun is worth not that much, but for somebody who is completely disarmed, a handgun is the difference between life and death. So for the Islamic Republic, it's worth everything.
what Space Force is. We have the greatest military in the world, by the way. But I'm proud of Space Force because I started it. We have Space Force cameras on every single door, well, there are no doors, they've been pretty well shattered, but every area of that, if somebody walks in and he's got a badge with his name on it, like Mohammed something, which is about a 50-50 guess, Mohammed something, they can tell the name, they can give you a serial number, we can see things you wouldn't believe the quality of the stuff that we have. That's why we've been so successful. That's why our blockade will go down in the annals of history as being unbelievable. Nobody's ever seen a blockade like that. It's like a steel wall. So what happened is we then terminated that, and I call it the nuclear dust, and that was the end of that. But if we didn't hit that with the B-2 bombers, or if it wasn't successful, they would have had a nuclear weapon, a nuclear bomb at a very high level, not the highest, but it would have been a very high level. We have much bigger, but we hope that we're never going to have to use it. We have the most. Russia has second. China is very far behind, but going to catch up, unfortunately. You know, they're catching up, but we have the most. We have the most powerful, but we also have the most. But Russia's not far behind. And then you have China in third place, but within 5 years, they'll be probably even. And we ought to make a denuclearization deal. It would be so great. We don't need all of that. We don't need to be able to blow up the whole world 300 times over. It's terrible. It's really, if we could do a denuke deal, I'd love it. And one of those two is very willing to.
This has been something President Trump cares about the most. President Trump really, really wants a world without nuclear weapons, like a whole world without nuclear weapons.
To do it, I will tell you, but the other one is less willing to do it, and you need all of them. So the deal we reached with Iran on Sunday will be signed shortly, tomorrow, maybe the next day. Subject deals. My whole life is all about deals. That's all I ever did is make deals. And crazy things happen with deals. I've gone into deals where it's a guarantee. No way it can not be signed. And it doesn't get signed. And I've gone into deals that you have no chance of making, and they go like nothing. So, but we're going to most likely sign a deal. They want to sign.
Guaranteed. That's a pretty big deal.
Sign a deal. And they've been acting very appropriately. They took a big 2 hits last week. Those were 2 very big hits. So importantly, Iran has agreed that they will neither produce nor procure a nuclear weapon. Neither produce, because originally they said, they talk about that they will not develop a nuclear weapon. And some people found it okay. These guys didn't, in all fairness, but some people, but I didn't like it. Said it won't develop. I said, what happens if they should buy? I don't know. It's very dangerous for somebody to sell, because whoever sells them a nuclear weapon will get nuked themselves. If they sold a nuclear weapon, only a few that could do it, they would be nuked. They wouldn't have that country long. So it's a very dangerous thing for somebody to do. But I wanted it in there. So it's develop, procure, buy, anything. And you'll see that when you see the agreement, but it's appropriate that we release the agreement.
So when we see the MOU, we have to look at the ability to enrich, because when it comes to, you know, having nuclear weapons, we already, like the Islamic Republic already claimed that they're never going to have a nuclear weapon before. Okay, so I mean, we don't trust the Islamic Republic and what they say. So them agreeing to never having a nuclear weapon is not that big of a deal, given that they have always been saying that. Like, I mean, guys, they say that they had a fatwa by Ali Khamenei against the nuclear weapon, and we didn't take that seriously. So why would we take this seriously? The part that we need to pay attention to in the MOU is what does it say about the enriched uranium and their ability to enrich uranium, and how would that be verified? Like how would it be verified? Like who is going to go into Iran and enforce the lack of access to enriched uranium by the Islamic Republic, right? So there's no once the MOU is out, we have to basically see what the verification process is.
And we did send a copy to Israel, by the way. They've been a good partner. Again, I think they could do better with respect to Hezbollah. I'm not saying they shouldn't protect themselves.
To be again, I don't know, whatever, some people are saying this is a long-term 5D chess move by President Trump, whatever that is. That aside, nobody could, for the sake of people who are just listening to what is being heard here, whether there is a longer term plan or this is like a good cop, bad cop thing or whatever, I'm just going to clarify, nobody could deal with Hezbollah better than Israel. Not even close. So, yeah.
They've been a good partner. Again, I think they could do better with respect to Hezbollah.
There is no better than Israel with regards to Hezbollah.
I'm not saying they shouldn't protect themselves. I'm saying when two drones are shot into the desert and drop harmlessly, you don't have to knock down buildings in Beirut. They could be.
If there are terrorists in buildings who kill Israelis, then knock those buildings out, because those buildings are less valuable than the lives of the Israelis that those terrorists take.
Better, and frankly, they could do a better job. I love them as a partner; they were terrific, but they could do a much better job with Hezbollah. On that, I don't think they're doing well, and I feel.
Again, Israel is doing the best against Hezbollah.
Very bad for Lebanon. Lebanon's been, it was a great culture. They had the professors, the doctors, the lawyers. It was an incredible culture, maybe the highest in the Middle East for years and years, centuries. And for the last 50, 60 years, they have been just trashed. They have been living in hell. So they'll work closely with us to turn over the so-called enriched material that's very deep in the bowels of the earth, very deep. Nobody can get it. So it's not important that we do it quickly, but we could do it fairly quickly. When we have a chance, we'll do it. But in the meantime, we have cameras on every inch of it. Nobody can do it. And if they do, we'll hit them with Patriots, that's all. And they'll be gone. And they know that. Technical discussions on the removal of all stockpiles of enriched materials will begin immediately. We're going to start that immediately. And unlike Barack Hussein Obama, who sent Iran pallets of cash and any relief they receive under this deal, they'll have to get based on merit. And it won't be from us. We don't have to give them anything. But some people may want to invest. Like, what are you going to do? Say you can never, ever invest in a country? I mean, it's pretty tough.
So we're talking about the $300 billion, the fake news that the United States is giving $300 billion to the Islamic Republic. That is not what it's about. It's going to be a fund that private companies apparently could go and invest in Iran if the Islamic Republic opens its economy. That's what that's what President Trump has been explaining, and J.D. Vance has been explaining as well. So if the Islamic Republic opens its economy, there will be a fund, with $300 billion, the target of $300 billion, where private companies, Arab states around the Persian Gulf could get involved with. China, they're saying they could get involved with, apparently, and they could go invest in Iran. That's what they're offering to the Islamic Republic in exchange for opening its economy. That's what the offer is. And I'm not going to go into the details of that, and the consequences of that to the IRGC and the Iranian people right now. If you guys want to talk about it, we're going to talk about it later in the discussion group, because I want to listen to more of this.
I don't mind being tough, but it's pretty crazy. You can invest in a country. You can invest in any country you want, but you can't invest there. Well, they need investment because we did $1.5 trillion, maybe $2 trillion worth of damage. So somebody's going to have to help them out. There's no guarantee about helping them out. It could be their neighbors will help them out a little bit. I don't know. But it's a lot of money. Almost nobody has that kind of money. That's the kind of damage that was done. But we're not investing any money. There was a fake story. There was a fake news story that got a man, a person, a good person. JD made a statement. It was a perfect statement. And they reported it in a very strange way. But that's why it's fake news, I guess. So we don't give them money. We don't give them any of that. And what happens is with time, if they behave, if they be a citizen of the world, a reasonable citizen of the world. And I think this group, again, I think I didn't do this for regime change, but I think this group is regime change.
So again, just clarification, this is not regime change. I understand, maybe President Trump is saying this for mind games with the Islamic Republic and all that, but I do need to clarify every time this is said, no regime change has happened in Iran.
Hey, the first group is dead. One little morning, having breakfast, the whole group, they thought they'd never be caught because we never bombed during breakfast, but we bombed, and they all, 88 people. And I'm not proud of that at all. But the second group came in, and they were very unreasonable too. And they were all gone. They were all gone. And then the third group, we've been dealing with them. Couple left this planet, but we've been dealing with them. And again, they've been fine. I mean, I've had a lot easier. I've had some easier ones. They're tough. They're smart.
So some people are attacking me in the chat saying, Armin, what mind games? Wake up and stuff like that. I'm not going over that. I'm just saying whether you believe in it or not. I'm just clarifying what's actually happened.
Maritime traffic through the Strait of Hormuz has already increased very substantially, and the normal flow of energy will resume in the coming days, and trillions of dollars will be made by the world, and the stock market will, I believe, continue to rise. The only difference is that a player that's very volatile, very tough, very smart, frankly, they have, in one way, a primitive culture, but it's also a genius primitive culture. They're very smart people, very good negotiators.
So, guys, some people in the chat are saying that, oh, no, I can't. If I disagree with President Trump, I'm going to get banned. We're not going to ban you for disagreeing with President Trump. Okay?
So are we. So rather than possibly going into a depression, rather than having your favorite president be Herbert Hoover, I was always the one I didn't want to be. I wouldn't have preferred Nixon. I wouldn't have preferred, there are plenty I wouldn't prefer, but the one I always thought of, Herbert Hoover, and he caused it. He raised taxes too fast, and he raised interest rates too fast, all at the same time. And it caused the Great Depression. So I don't think I'll make mistakes like that. I lower taxes, I don't raise taxes. In fact, we just gave you the largest tax decrease, largest tax cut in the history of our country. So we'll be working on a parallel effort with the Gulf nations to address non-nuclear issues.
Persian Gulf nations.
Such as the conventional ballistic missiles, which we'll be talking about, and support. I mean, they have to have some because other people have some. You got to have some. Somebody said, you shouldn't give them one. And I have guys, I like some of these guys, but I don't think they're smart. Sir, you shouldn't let them have any missile. I said, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to let Saudi Arabia have missiles, but they can't have them? Yes, sir. Can't just.
Wait, Saudi Arabia have missiles, but not the Islamic Republic? I mean, Saudi Arabia doesn't have, is not an expansionist. They are Durka jihadi Islamic, but they don't have an expansionist policy, trying to bring out I don't know, like create an empire in the Middle East and destroy the United States.
You shouldn't give them one. I mean, I have guys, I like some of these guys, but I don't think they're smart. Sir, you shouldn't let them have any missile. I said, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to let Saudi Arabia have missiles, but they can't have them? Yes, sir. Doesn't work that way,
Yeah, I mean the difference is that Saudi Arabia is not threatening Europe and United States with its missiles, so that's the difference.
It doesn't work that way. And missiles aren't the problem. Missiles are, they hurt a little location, but they don't blow up the planet. So the Gulf nations will address the non-nuclear issues as
Persian Gulf nations. And also the issue with missiles, guys, is that if the Islamic Republic gets to a number of 30,000 ballistic missiles, the deterrence capability of the Islamic Republic will be so high that that Israel and other countries would not ever consider attacking it the way that they did with Operation like Epic Fury and Roaring Lions ever again. So the missiles are it is very important. Like beyond the nuclear, it is very important to stop the Islamic Republic to get to that number of ballistic missiles. So the missiles are really important to. The reason why the missiles don't do much of a damage from the Islamic Republic is because they didn't reach the volume that they needed to. But if they ever get to 30,000, then they're going to have a very strong deterrence capability, and they're going to feel a lot more confident when they're with their terrorist agenda and their expansionist policies.
We'll be talking about the ballistic missiles, and we'll talk also about the terrorist proxies that they have. That we don't want that to happen. But I want to thank our partners in both Pakistan and Qatar. These people work so hard. And they knew them a little bit. In the case of Pakistan, quite well. In the case of Qatar, they were sort of at odds. And, Qatar was great because they had right next door. When I flew from there, from that location to Saudi Arabia, I'd fly for 40 minutes, and I'd fly to UAE for 40 minutes to great leaders there, by the way. In case of Saudi Arabia, the father's still alive and he's fantastic, and the son is going to be great. He's going to be great. The Crown Prince and Mohammed at UAE is an incredible warrior. He was dropping bombs. Last week I said, who the hell's dropping all those bombs? It was UAE. He's a good fighter, Mohammed. But every administration for decades has sought to get Iran to relinquish its nuclear ambitions, but the threat only got bigger. The words got bigger and bigger and stronger and bigger, and nothing ever happened. And Iran got stronger and tougher. If we didn't blow them up the first time and then blow out those weapons, they would have been unstoppable. This should have done, what I'm doing and what I did should have been done years ago. Would have been much easier, much less firepower. But it wasn't. And again, I want to thank all those countries, and I want to thank Israel and Bibi Netanyahu.
Yay.
So obviously the breakthrough would not have been possible without the unprecedented pressure the United States put on the regime over the past year and a half. But again, it started a long time ago. It started with the death of Soleimani. That was a big deal. No president in history has ever been tougher on Iran than I have, and they know that. And by the way, if they don't honor the agreement, or some things aren't even mentioned in the agreement, it's a memorandum of understanding, but we have an understanding of certain things without writing it. And if they don't honor that, we'll probably go back to bombing them until they honor it,
Yeah, this is a good reminder to people who are like, oh my God, this is a bad deal. There is no deal. This is a memorandum of understanding, and it's based on observing the Islamic Republic's behavior. And it's really easy for United States to just go back and bomb the crap out of them if the Islamic Republic misbehaves and doesn't do what the United States wants them to do.
It's amazing what bombs can do.
True.
So I say it, the Obama deal was a road to a nuclear weapon, and let's call it.
I think I managed to make people, the way that we guys, the way I'm talking about this is trying to be clear about Israel, be clear about what description of what's happening about Iran is true and what's not, without causing division among us. So that's the way I'm talking.
But the Trump deal was a wall for a nuclear weapon that the nuclear weapon could not get through. Nobody's going to get through it. We built a wall. They weren't going to have it, and that's what we have right now. And it says very clearly, the most important clause to me, too, number one, the Strait opens, but that's much less important than the other clause number, whatever, 5, 8. is a very strong statement that they will never have a nuclear weapon. And it doesn't say they'll have one in 5 years or 10 years or 20 years. With Obama, they were able to enrich very quickly. This agreement now provides Iran with a historic opportunity. If they follow the path of cooperation, will have opened for them, their country will have a chance to survive. Now think of it, you know, they have 91 million people. People want me to bomb the bridges. Why don't I bomb? I already did, because, you know, they went back on one of their promises and I bombed their biggest bridge, the equivalent of that was the George Washington Bridge of Iran. But we bombed that bridge, you saw that. One quick strike by an F-22, the most beautiful fighter jet ever made, by the way. In fact, we're ordering some more of them. We're bringing it out because it's so effective. It's incredible. It's incredible. Well, look, we have the greatest military in the world. Those B-2 bombers are unbelievable. Who would have thought they could handle, each had two because the flight was so long, but they handle three of the biggest, heaviest bombs, hundreds of thousands of pounds, and they handle them like they're nothing. It's amazing. And also, they're undetectable. They flew into Iran, totally, think of it, totally undetected. Now, Iran's waiting for them. They're waiting for them. And they never saw them. 1 o'clock in the morning, they never saw them. They're stealth. And we just ordered 22 more. The newer, upgraded version, which I guess is better. I don't know how the hell you get better. But as I expressed to the world leaders here this week, it's my hope that the peace agreement will be the beginning of a much larger deal all across the Middle East. We're very close. Look at the job we've done on Gaza. Look at Hamas. Hamas has been very silent. You haven't read anything about Hamas. And we're trying.
Yeah, because Israel has created a buffer zone in Gaza, you know, separating Israeli citizens from Hamas. They're in the process of creating a buffer zone in Lebanon. They have also created a buffer zone in Syria. This is a great progress for protecting Israeli citizens. If Israel manages to maintain these buffer zones everywhere, the Israelis are going to be a lot more secure.
To get them unarmed, you know, they grew up with a machine gun in their hand. I think they actually, when they were born, they came out with a machine gun in their hand. So it's not the easiest thing, but they've actually, you know, behaved pretty well, considering this was not the lifestyle that they were taught to have. But including an end to all Iranian aggression, and they're not going to be Iranian aggression, and an end to war and terror in Lebanon. So the Lebanon piece is something we'll have to work on a little bit. It's a very small piece of the puzzle, actually, but it still makes a lot of noise. The big deal is the Iran deal. That's where the money is, where the power was. But they have Hezbollah, and you got to get that done one way or the other. We'll do it. I think Israel can do a much better job on it. Syria would love to do it. I was very.
Israel is doing already better than anybody could do, and Syria would not be able to do anything comparable to what Israel can do.
Very responsible for the gentleman at Syria that's now the president of Syria. He's done a tremendous job. He's put that country together in a year.
So President Trump is talking about Jolani right now, al-Shara. So this is the guy who used to be both Al-Qaeda and ISIS. And Israelis don't trust this guy.
And that Syria, that's now the president of Syria. He's done a tremendous job. He's put that country together in a year and a half. Sort of like our country, a year and a half. It's pretty similar size. They said, please don't put him there. He's a very violent man. Al-Qaeda. I said, well, I know one thing, a Boy Scout's not going to work. And he's actually done a very good job. He'd love to go in it. You know, Hezbollah is an enemy of his, and he'd go in, but he wouldn't knock down buildings every time he hears there's somebody. He just.
So again, let's be clear. Again, I don't know, whatever, you know, you got, again, guys, it's a good cop, bad cop fight, BHS, you know, whatever the overall longer term plan for what President Trump is saying, you know, that aside, I just want to clarify that a former Al-Qaeda leader is not going to be nicer to civilians than the most moral army in the world, which is the IDF, right? That, and also if some of you say, well, that's the point, they could go and be more brutal and get the job done faster, nobody will be able to compare. Like, nobody would be as effective, not even close. Nobody would be 1% as effective as the IDF against terrorists. Like, it's not even, they don't even have a chance. Whatever Israel can do, that's the max you could get against in the Middle East. What Israel does is the best that you get. Nobody can match that, especially a leader of a country that is falling, like, it's even a challenge to keep the country together. That doesn't even represent, with a leader that doesn't even represent his own people, with very little military power, that is only in power because it's being supported by Turkey. So yeah, I don't, and also cannot be trusted. It's true that Jolani or al-Shara is an enemy of the Islamic Republic and Hezbollah, and for now, they have put aside their anti-Israeli agenda. But at the end of the day, these are jihadis. So I know it's fun to watch Durka fight Durka, but allowing them into, Israel is never going to trust. Israel is never going to trust any of these people to do the job that needs to get done. And they're not going to, they shouldn't, like, Israel, it's unreasonable to expect Israel leave southern Lebanon and just rely on these terrorists to basically kill each other. So just again, I know a lot of you are going to say, like, well, Armin, he's saying this because this and this and that. Okay, whatever that is, I just want to make it clear that if you care about civilian lives, then Israel does the best job, and you can't rely on an Al-Qaeda, an ISIS and Al-Qaeda leader to come in and do a better job with both killing Hezbollah and also protecting civilian lives more than the IDF, which is the most moral army on the planet.
Good job. He'd love to go in, and Hezbollah is an enemy of his, and he'd go in, but he wouldn't knock down buildings every time he hears there's somebody. He'd just go and get them with precision. But I don't know that people want that. Maybe they don't. Maybe Lebanon doesn't. We have to be guided a little bit by Lebanon. And by the way, the president is going to be coming, Prime Minister, President, going to be coming over to see us very shortly, over the next week or two. Good man. Man is living. What a tough life he's got.
Also, guys, something else. Whatever President Trump's reasons are for saying these things, and there might be good reasons. I don't know. If you guys know, you're smarter than me. But whatever his reasons might be, these statements will do damage to Israel's standing in the United States, especially among MAGA. So that means that our responsibility is to go work double time on defending Israel in the United States.
He's got tough groups of people, and it's amazing. Amazing there is a Lebanon with all they've been through. They have been treated worse than just about, I think, anybody, disrespected incredibly. So the expansion of the Abraham Accords is the other thing that we hope we're going to get. And I think Saudi Arabia, if they lead the way, they'd be doing themselves a big favor, because everybody that's in it, UAE went in right from the beginning. Again, he's a warrior. And they never got out. Nobody ever got out. You think maybe during the war, they were all afraid of, everybody was afraid of Iran. And that's why we ended up with the original members. But then when the election was rigged, that's right. And I wasn't here at all. Nobody cared about anything. The country went to hell in every way. That was the least of it. Middle East was the least of the country went to hell, allowing 25 million people into the country, unchecked and unvetted, many of them criminals, many of them murderers, 11,888 murderers allowed into our country. So this was the least of it. But the past 2 days have also provided an opportunity to discuss a number of other key issues with members of the G7 and our partners. Yesterday morning, we had a productive conversation on the war in Ukraine. I spoke with President Putin. I spoke with President Zelensky, and he was there. And President Putin I spoke over the phone with. And something's going to happen. They're losing a lot of people, a lot of soldiers. They're losing soldiers. Both are losing a lot. Russia's losing more because they're the offensive ones. And when you're offensive in war, you lose more. Pretty simple. But I provided an update on my call Sunday with President Putin and expressed my continued hope. We had a very good conversation with President Putin and a very, very good conversation with President Zelensky. I think they both want to do something. They just don't know how to do it. They want to do it. They just don't know how. In our session yesterday afternoon on international partnerships, I offered an update on how the United
Another clarification, President Putin wants to take over Eastern Europe and all of Ukraine, and he's never going to stop until he gets that.
States is leading the world in responding to the Ebola outbreak in Africa, sending $375 million in aid so far to help stop and contain the crisis at its source. And we've done great. I was with the president of a couple of presidents came over, by the way, from African nations, and they were so happy with what we did. But where it's unfair is we gave $375 million. The rest of the world gave essentially nothing, maybe a couple of bucks, but nothing. And they were all saying, thank you so much. And I think they've done a good job. It's a terrible thing. Ebola is a terrible thing. That's an unbelievable one. Fortunately, it's not like COVID where it's that easy to spread around, but it's rough. And we've done a good job. We've moved people to certain quarantine, certain locations. But today we also had excellent meetings on the economy and artificial intelligence, which is amazing what's going on with that. It's going to be the biggest thing ever. We have to be very careful with it. It's both great and could be bad. We have to be careful with it. But we're leading China. We're leading the world on that. We're allowing them to do their own electric plants because they need, as an example, those buildings are so big, and they're not taking the community's electricity. I gave them the right. It's my idea. I gave them the right to build electric plants like Con Edison in New York. Dig we must. And they've come up with plants that nobody's ever seen anything like them. Those are like very high IQ people. So they're actually building electric plants. So because otherwise they could never build a building because the grid is old and tired and broken and a mess. So they're building it, and they're going to sell very cheaply, they're going to sell their extra electricity into the grid. So we take care of a lot of things like California, which doesn't have nearly enough electricity. They don't know what they're doing there. And instead of having blackouts and brownouts, they'll be able not to. We found a great deal of unity here at the G7, and we signed a declaration on illegal immigration, the first time ever for a G7 statement. They did a beautiful statement. We signed other agreements to step up and to really coordinate and spend a lot of time coordinating drug trafficking and the stopping of drug trafficking, which is crazy. It comes through Mexico, comes through the southern border, the little that comes through. They find a way, they put it, they're genius. If they would use that genius for good, they'd be very rich people. They have it in engines, they have it in hubcaps, they have it in areas you wouldn't even believe. They have it in the structures of cars. Most incredible thing. But we've done a great job on it. We have drugs coming through the border are down 61%. Drugs coming through water, the sea, ocean, sea, Gulf, down 97.2%. That's the ones that get hit. Just like we hit the Iranian minesweepers and mine droppers, they call them. They dropped. Who would have 28 mine droppers? Who has 28 mine droppers? They actually had them, but they don't have many more. We hit them just like we hit the drug dealers. But drugs are down by water, 97%, and over 60% they're down. And now we're going to go and focus on the land. They come through Mexico. Mexico has lost control of their country. The cartels run Mexico, and it's sad. And the president's a very good woman, but she's a very scared woman. The drug cartels are totally running Mexico. It's not even close. We agreed to accelerate our efforts to secure our critical minerals and rare earth supply chains, where we have great companies really going to town. We're going to give everybody a big run because we do it better and we had to get motivated. The G7 also agreed that the United States' new approach to international development based on the private sector
I think
investment is
he's
working
done
at
talking
levels that they
about
never thought
Iran, so you can
possible. It's really
probably fast forward to the Q&A part.
Yep.
Should be shortly after this, right about the 1 hour mark.
You're going to get to see it. So I'll get.
Nope.
They take good stories about me.
The first, I know the first question was about Iran when he gets to the Q&A.
Clarify something you said just.
There you go. Yeah, it's there.
Should be able.
I see this guy standing, so a little bit before here.
They are.
Oh, no, it's even before here. So that wasn't it, actually. It was before that. Let me go here.
We totally concede. We totally give up. This war is over. We have failed. The New York Times and CNN and a couple of others, they're not all that.
Oh my God.
Having to answer this $300 million fund. It's only $300 billion. A nice dinner, but I'm interested to see it. I love.
Okay, it's after this.
Science, and we're celebrating that a little bit tonight. They'll have, and we'll be talking about.
The United States is not going to.
Go back a little bit.
Peter.
Bonjour.
Sure.
You've been clear, President Trump. The United States is not going to directly pay Iran, but the U.S. is going to let the Iranians start making billions of dollars, selling oil, accessing this reconstruction fund.
Only if they're doing things right. Only if, Peter, only if we're not doing anything. We're not putting up money. Only if they're doing things right. If they're doing things right, if people want to invest, they can invest. But they had this $300 million fund. It's only $300 billion fund. It's only if they're doing things right. Remember this also. When you talk about billions of dollars, they've had much more than $1 trillion worth of damage done. They got a long way. There'll be 15 to 20 years to rebuild what they have right now. So they have to behave themselves. If they're not behaving, they get hit again. You know, they'll be hit again because we can do it very easily. It's going to take a long way for them to build back their anti-aircraft stuff. It's going to take, and you know, the other thing I want to thank China, President Xi, I was with him, and he stayed neutral, totally neutral, and I appreciate it. And I would want
So again, I know that President Trump might have his own reasons for why he's saying that. You know, whatever 5D chess that is being, again, I don't know what that is, but just to clarify, the CCP, China, was not neutral. In fact, the plane, the American plane that went down, and the two pilots that were stuck inside Iran until the Americans came and saved them, the plane was taken down with an advanced Chinese manpad, and the Chinese were helping the Islamic Republic throughout these military operations to try to kill American soldiers. And not only that, China was supplying the Islamic Republic with missile components throughout this military operation, missiles that were supposed to kill Israelis and Americans and everyone else, right? So China was not neutral. They were helping the Islamic Republic throughout this.
to thank Vladimir Putin. He was very neutral. They could have made it much more difficult.
So Putin also, again, President Trump might be saying this because of the mind games that he's playing, or he has his own strategies. But Putin was also not neutral. Putin was sending drone components through the Caspian Sea to the Islamic Republic. So China was sending missile components through land routes to the Islamic Republic, and also manpads that shot down the American plane. And Putin was sending drone components through the Caspian Sea.
He was very neutral. They could have made it much more difficult for us. And I want to say it. Somebody would say, "Oh, that's terrible. He's thinking President Xi of China." Well, let me tell you, I had a long talk with him. They have shoulder weapons to knock down airplanes. That it's not like the real deal, but they're accurate. They're fairly accurate. I said, I would really appreciate you're not giving or selling any of that stuff to Iran. And you know what? For the most part, he didn't. So
again, again, just clarifying, he did, and that's why the American plane came down.
I just want to thank them because they made it a lot better.
Can you explain, though, what the difference is between giving Iran U.S. dollars and unfreezing U.S. dollars?
Well, the unfreezing, that's an easy one to answer. We have taken a lot of their money, and we have their money. We have taken their money. It's not our money. It's their money, and we froze it. At a certain point in time, I guess we're going to have to give it back. You know, if we didn't give it back, nobody would ever invest in the dollar again.
So again, clarifying that those are the Iranian people's money. So if the Americans do have to give it back, but they will have to give it back to the Iranian people, not their occupiers, which is the Islamic Republic regime. So it's not their money, so it shouldn't be given back to them. It's the Iranian people's money.
And we have their money. We have
U.S. dollars.
Well, the unfreezing, that's an easy one to answer. We have taken a lot of their money, and we have their money. We have taken their money. It's not our money. It's their money, and we froze it. At a certain point in time, I guess we're going to have to give it back. You know, if we did.
So just to be clear, like when Obama released money to the Islamic Republic, and that's why we criticize the JCPOA, that was their reasoning as well. They were saying that we're not actually giving them any money. We're basically releasing their own money back to them. And we were attacking President Obama back then because that money belonged to the Iranian people, not to the Islamic Republic.
Didn't give it back, nobody would ever invest in the dollar again. If you took their money, because I thought about it, you know, I'm not the most perfect person. I said to Scott, why do we keep their money? What the hell are we giving it back to them? But, you know, people from lots of nations, some nations we don't agree with, they have their money. The dollar's become very strong under me. And
true,
they don't want to have a little conflict with somebody and end up having the United States just take their money. So if you do that, you really don't have a system.
And I did just want to ask you about this. A wise man once said in January of 2020, Iran never won a war, but never lost a negotiation.
Yeah, that's a quote from President Trump. He's quoting Trump back to Trump.
That wise man.
Who said that?
Donald Trump.
Oh, that's what I thought you were going to say.
So how do you go back to the United States and convince a skeptical American public that this deal is a
look,
win?
Here they lost militarily, okay? It's very tough because I know that no matter what, if I would go, by the way, if I'd go another 3 or 4 weeks, those same people that are critical would say, he went too long, he should have done, you know, no matter what. If they raised the white flag of surrender, and if they said, praise be to Allah, Donald Trump is the greatest president ever. We totally concede, we totally give up. This war is over, we have failed. The New York Times and CNN and a couple of others, they're not all that dishonest, they'd say, Iran had a great victory, okay? They practically do that. You know, it's amazing. When we knocked out their last ship, they had 159 ships. When we knocked out the last ship, the Times refused to do a story on it. I said, why wouldn't you? They don't have a Navy, and you don't want to do a story on it. They don't have an Air Force, you don't want to do a story. We need a fair press. And that's why they're all doing so badly, because they lost credibility. When I win in a landslide, and I had 93% bad press, they take good stories about me and make them bad. But the only reason that happened is because they have so little, the media has so little credibility that the people voted for me. 93% of the stories on network, ABC is horrible. I think ABC is the worst. NBC is terrible. And CBS is terrible. CNN, obviously. And I never get good stories, no matter what I do. I could do the greatest thing. I won't get good stories on this. I'll get it from fair media. I'll get it from all over the world. They're writing good. But no matter what I do, I'm going to get bad press. I know that. Now, if I did the opposite, if I went out and continued to bomb them for another 4, just bomb the hell out of them, I'd get bad press on that. No, there's nothing I can do. But what this does is it allows the ships to go. If we keep bombing, those ships won't be going. And you're talking about $500, $600, $700 million a day. It's a lot of money. A lot of money. That's why the world is okay. It's liquid. It's fine. Also, we run out of reserves in about 4 weeks. You know, there are reserves all over the world, and we would really run out. And there'll be a time when you wouldn't be able to get it. And you want to see Bedlam? So for all those so-called geniuses that want to show me how smart they are, ask them, why didn't they blow up General Soleimani? Ask that of the general and a couple of other people that I like very much, but boy, are they wrong. Go ahead. How about you? Thank you, Peter. I'd give you more, Peter, but people say I like you too much.
Thank you, Mr. President. Bonsoir. Mr.
You know, he told me that first day in office, he asked me like 7 questions. I answered all of them. Is this true? He said, he just answered more questions in one meeting than Joe Biden did in 4 years. Okay, you know, I'm not going to get you in trouble, but that's what you said. Go ahead.
Well, Mr. President, in The Art of the Deal, you write about the importance of leverage.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have a lot of leverage when it comes to Iran, whether
Tremendous
it's militarily or through economic sanctions. What leverage, sir, do you have when it comes to Israel and Hezbollah to ensure that they abide by the ceasefire?
Well, I think we have leverage just by the fact that we really have Iran now has to be good. They have to behave. And we might help. That's a much smaller conflict. It's a conflict that should be able to be over with. I'm surprised it's taken so long. And it's a much smaller, but we have a lot of leverage. We have the greatest military anywhere in the world. We have the strongest, most powerful. Look at the blockade. By the way, the blockade was more impactful than all of the bombing raids where we dropped $1 billion worth of bombs on Iran. The blockade was so incredible. The naval blockade, the admiral, the whole thing, not one ship got through. That meant no money got through. They were dying. They had no money. They have inflation that's 250 or 300%. They have no money. We have tremendous leverage. We have the leverage of the economy as an example. We'll get that done. That's a small one, and we'll work with Israel and get it done. But I'd like to do it. I mean, you have people living there. Buildings are being dropped on top of them or right alongside of them. How would you like to live there? It's so unfair, especially Beirut. You know, you go into Beirut and
it's very unfair to Israelis for sure.
I looked at the scene 2 days.
I'll quote Rubio, who's standing right there. Only stupid countries don't shoot back when they're shot at.
Yesterday, where they hit, that was a big hit. That was unnecessary in my book. Yeah, please.
2 questions. If you could clarify something you said just a few minutes ago. One of the goals of Epic Fury going into it, you said was...
Say it again. Speak up.
Sorry. One of the goals of Epic Fury, you said going into it, was to destroy Iran's ballistic missiles and its capabilities to build more.
Yeah.
Why is it acceptable to you now that they keep some of that capability? And Iran is...
What are they keeping? What are they keeping? They have less than other nations now. We knocked out probably 84, 85% of their missiles. The rest of them are underground. They can't even get them out. You know, the other night's raid, I think it was on the first night, we knocked out hundreds of their missiles. Actually, by mistake, we were hitting an area, and you can sort of see when the bombs are going off, and then you see one that looks like, wow, what happened? A lot of missiles knocked down. No, but what are you going to do? Let's spend another 2 weeks and give them none. They don't want to be firing missiles right now. They're going to have a hard time rebuilding. And the people from the Middle East, if people want to invest, and again, they don't have to invest at all. But if they do want to invest, it does have oil. It does have probably a future, but it's going to take a long time. But are you going to let the 91 million people starve to death? I mean, one of the things I was very intent on, they have water desalinization plants, very good ones. I could have knocked them out in 5 minutes, just like I knocked out Cargill, and I knocked out everything but the oil. I said, 25, it was so complete. The only thing there is the pipes coming with the oil because I didn't want to ruin the world market because they do a lot of money. But I didn't want to do that, no. It would have been so easy. It would have been easier, and I would have satisfied a group of 10% of the people, but it would have been the wrong thing to do. And it could have caused an international depression. Maybe not.
Iran's position has always been that their nuclear program was for civilian purposes. If they come back after the signing of this and say they want to continue to have a civilian nuclear program, is that acceptable to you?
Oh my God! No, well, obviously that's not acceptable.
Back after the signing of this and say they want to continue to have a civilian nuclear program, is that acceptable to you?
Well, I've said to them always, I say, look, you have probably the third largest oil reserves in the world. What the hell do you need nuclear for?
Exactly. Okay, that's good. Exactly.
You need nuclear for some electricity.
So, guys, this is good. That means that President Trump is still insisting on zero enrichment. Okay, not just like promises. Okay, zero enrichment. So this is great.
So I've always felt that way. So we've been pretty tough in that. You know, it is a little hard though when you say that somebody wants it, other people have it, other adjoining states have it, and you're not letting them have it for purposes of electricity and things like that. It's always a little tough. You have to use a little common sense, please.
Yeah, but less than 1% of the electricity on the electrical grid, less than 1% of power has ever come from nuclear. Nuclear literally does not provide any electricity or power to the Iranian people. It's never been used for civilian purposes.
It's always been about nuclear weapons. Exactly. And getting from 0 to 1% is already most of the job. You know, going from 1% to 90% is so much easier than going from 0 to 1, and that's why, you know, basically, if you allow them even a tiny amount, you are basically provided them a clear way to eventually get to a nuclear weapon. And obviously, the Islamic Republic should never be trusted when they say, oh, this is for civilian purposes. So, I mean, yeah, it sounds unfair to them if they weren't a murderous, expansionist death cult that is determined in taking over the whole world with their nuclear weapons. Then in that case, it would be unfair to them. They're like, oh, other countries get to do it, but we can't. Well, other countries are not a death cult trying to take over the world. So that's, I mean, not countries, I mean, other regimes at least.
New York Times, please.
Thank you, Mr. President, for the question. Now that you're approaching a new phase in this conflict with Iran, can you now say whether you will hold anyone in your administration accountable for the strike on a school that killed more than 100 children on the first day of the war?
No, if it was a fault, and as you know, that's under investigation. It's such a strange question to be asked at this state, because you're talking about a long time ago, but nobody did that on purpose. I guess you'd have to say about them, what about the thousands of soldiers that they blew up when they opened their car door? What about the thousands of people that were killed by Iran? No, mistakes are made. The war is nasty. But I know it's under investigation, and I could have a report for you tomorrow. Or I would ask Pete Hegseth that question, because they have it under investigation.
So, guys, what everybody should remember is that United States never, United States and Israel never target civilians. They never target civilians. And United States and Israel have the best armies in the world, and they do more than any other army on the planet to try to avoid civilian casualties. And it's never going to be perfect. It will never be perfect. What we do know is that both in the military operations by United States and Israel, the ratio of civilians to militant casualties has been lower than any other country participating in urban warfare. So United States should be congratulated, and Israel should be congratulated for doing more than any other country to reduce civilian casualties when they are doing war. And the expectation could never be zero civilian casualties. And also, the United States and Israel should also be congratulated for doing investigations every time a mistake like this happened. But the expectation of having the mistakes be brought down to zero is an unrealistic expectations that no people have for no other country on the planet. And if that is the expectation, zero civilian casualties, it means that you can't do war. And if you can't do war, then you don't need a military. And if you don't need a military, then you're vulnerable. Every country defending itself will at some point, unfortunately, end up having collateral damage.
Please.
Mr. President, you've been saying all week that this deal permanently prevents Iran from getting a nuclear weapon, but the drafts of the deal that have been floating around barely mention Iran's nuclear program. So can you explain how exactly the deal achieves that goal?
So when I say permanently, it should be permanently. But if it's not permanently, we will bomb them. They will be bombed, just like I bombed them on Wednesday night and Tuesday night, and was going to bomb them on Thursday night at a level that was 3 times greater, and they knew that. I will bomb them. Now, that's with me as president. If you have a weak, pathetic president, maybe that doesn't happen, but I can only do the job that I have to do. I have a long time to go. I have almost 3 years, close to 3 years. Time is going fast. But our country's become we're the most respected country in the world. Those leaders today, they said, we used to laugh at you. 2 years ago, the same guys, they'd laugh at the country. Now they say, you're the most respected country anywhere in the world. Militarily, even military. Take a look at what happened look at what happened in so many different locations. Afghanistan, that horrible retreat that these people made, leaving equipment behind. They weren't under any pressure. You take your time. You can get out. I was going to get out. We were going to get out with dignity and pride, take 100% of the equipment. I was even taking the tents down. But then they got in and they just left. They left all the equipment. I may get all that equipment back. Now, here's the thing. More symbolic, because it's a little old now. But we may get it all back. Afghanistan is kissing our ass. You know that?
So you're threatening to bomb Iran if they don't comply, but there's nothing enforceable in the deal itself. Is that correct?
Doesn't have to be. I let them know. I said, look, if you don't adhere to the agreement, I don't want to do that, but we're going to bomb the hell out of you. And I don't think that they're going to veer from the agreement. What else am I going to do? Am I going to say, I'm going to take you to court? Let me take you to court. Let me sue you. No, we're going to bomb the hell out of them if they violate.
So, guys, this is actually really good that President Trump is saying that, because that means that the MOU does not, they're not going to pay attention to what's in the MOU if they're just not happy with what they're saying. They're like, oh, like it's not going to be like, but the Islamic but you say like, we don't care, we don't like it, we're going to bomb you. So that's what this means.
The agreement. I don't want them to. I want them to honor the agreement. Again, the straits close up. Bad things can happen. You know, in war, terrible things happen. Like you mentioned the question before about a school gets hit. Other things get hit. Bad things happen in war. War is a nasty place. I see it. I see it. I see it better than maybe anybody has ever seen it.
With the Israelis.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you, President Trump. Oil prices are now plummeting. How do you see this agreement further affecting energy prices in the U.S. and the U.S. economy in the long term? And secondly, Mr. President, how do you think Vice President J.D. Vance did on The View yesterday?
Well, first of all, thank you for the word plummeting, because that's what's happening. Oil prices are plummeting. And that means oil prices are going to come down. You know, if you make donuts, you have a heating, you have a stove, and you have to buy the heat, you need the gas or the electricity or whatever you're using. And when oil prices come down, oil is the biggest thing. Oil is, you get oil prices coming down, and they're going to come down. And we're hitting into 3s now for gasoline, and that'll come down a lot lower. So I was in Iowa just before this started, and I was saying to myself, I can't believe we're doing so well, but I have to go, and we have to put out this fire in Iran, because I don't want them using a nuclear weapon. They would have used a nuclear weapon. 100% they would have used it. The only question is, was it going to be that day or that week? They would have used a nuclear weapon. They were on the way. And I said, we're going to have to put out the fire. And I said, you know, oil prices, so gasoline, we passed 2 gas stations in Iowa, made a speech up there. The people are great. I won it by so much. And I love the people, farmers. And we passed 2 gas stations. One was $1.85. One was $1.91. Now, that's Iowa. But it was, I mean, California has all those crazy taxes that they put on, you know, California taxes. But the oil was down to $2 to, I'd say, between $2 and $2.50. And it was heading down further. And we were going to have a great run. We took a little journey down to a place called the Islamic Republic of Iran, and we bombed the hell out of them, and now they can never have a nuclear weapon. Now, we had a disturbance, but I must say it was much less than anybody thought. The oil never went to $350 a barrel. It went to $115, $120. The oil never went anywhere near that. And the other thing, I thought the stock market would go down 25 or 30%. The stock market a week ago, before we started this, was higher than it was when we started, which tells you that we have a very resilient economy. We have the strongest economy we've ever had. Now, the word affordability is a fake word but made up by the Democrats. Here's where it's fake, because they made it up, because I inherited these prices. And when I had my first news conference, first day, they started screaming affordability, the Democrats. Affordability, affordability, they're screaming. I say, what's that all about? They gave it to me. They gave it to me. It's affordability. And they use that word to a fare thee well. Well, they were the ones that created the affordability crisis. I'm the one that got it down. Remember, highest insurance rates in history, highest rates for everything. Eggs, remember eggs? They were 4 times more expensive than they were in my administration. And I got it down, Peter, very quickly. Our secretary did a good job of agriculture, Brooke. She did a great job with eggs and everything else. And now that the oil is coming down, you're going to see everything follow. Everything follows the cost of energy. And we're going to end up having the lowest energy anywhere in the world. Please. Yeah. No, please.
Thank you.
You're from ABC. You're fake news. Go ahead.
To follow up on oil, can you confirm, will Iran be able to immediately sell their oil to market? And will U.S. sanctions snap back immediately if there is a delay or collapse in the talks? And then relatedly, is there any safeguard in this deal to prevent Iran from charging what they say could be fees after the 60-day extension?
The thing that's going to stop them from doing that, because you can't cover everything in a document, is common sense. They don't want to get bombed. They don't want to get hit. As far as sanctions are concerned, at some point, we have sanctions which will...
This is great, guys. So basically, President Trump is saying the MOU is irrelevant. We see if the Islamic Republic does something we don't like, we're going to bomb them. So this part of it is great.
Never let them rebuild. They would have no money. They would be in poverty. The 91 million people would starve. So something will happen as soon as they behave. When they behave, we're going to let that go. We're going to have to. I put sanctions on a lot of people, and then I let them go. A lot of countries. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Shinji Abe. I'm a Japanese Yomiuri newspaper company from the Washington Correspondent. My question is about the Strait of Hormuz. Did you ask other G7 nations to send military force? And what specifically are you asking of Japan? Or
where are you from?
I'm from Japan.
From where?
Japan. And is
military support? I just left your prime minister. Japan's doing very well. She's my biggest fan, I have to tell you. She thinks I did a great job. You have to call her and ask her. And, she's doing a very good job, by the way. Go ahead.
And military support is no longer necessary.
Yeah, but what do you want to know? Go ahead, just tell me. What do you want to know?
Okay, my question is, did you ask other G7 nations to send military force? And what specifically are you asking of Japan?
To send the Air Force? For what? Oh, other countries, not just Japan. No, we don't need it. Oh, by the way, they all want to do it. They all want to do it. Every single one of them. They want to go be a part of it now. Not while the war was going on. I was a little disappointed. The UK, I said, yeah, it would be nice if you sent ships. I didn't put a hard sell on, but I said it would be nice if you sent some ships. And the Prime Minister said, they'll be there, sir, as soon as the war is over. I said, did he just say that? I couldn't believe it, actually. Japan has offered to get involved, but I mean, I'll be honest, Japan was not willing to get involved during the war. I asked her, I said, you want to get involved a little bit? I didn't put the heavy sell on, but they said, no, we don't want to get involved. Nobody did. We did it ourselves with Israel and with the Arab states that got hit, surprisingly hit. Yeah.
Mr. President?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Thanks a lot, Mr. President. Question on Brazil. I would like to know, how was
your interaction here in Evian during the G7 with the Brazilian President Lula. Did you talk about the new U.S. tariffs on Brazil? Did you talk about the U.S. designation of...
Oh, skip this question?
Well, because it's Brazil, so it's not about.
Okay, let's go. I think it's over here. There we go. This is new guy.
Flow has long been considered the core principle. During this summit, any of the leaders expressed any concerns on the possible violation of international law on the attack on Iran?
No, actually the opposite. They felt they were very dangerous. They were very relieved because they could get hit too. They were very relieved. No, we never discussed that. No, it'd be the opposite. They broke the law. They killed thousands of people. They killed thousands of our soldiers and hundreds of thousands of people. Yeah, please go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Mr. President,
yes.
Yesterday, the Pakistan thanks for the Chinese government to help make a peace talk between Iran and the United States. So, what do you think about the China's work to get the United States and Iran sitting down to talk and make the deal? And the second question is...
Okay, let me answer the question.
Okay.
So I think China's been terrific. I tell you that before. They could have been bad. They could have sent in to try and block or break the blockade. They could have sent in an oil ship with 6 destroyers alongside of it on each side. They didn't do that. President Xi helped me. He tried to help, and I think he probably helped get it solved. You know, they get 50% of their oil from that location. So that wasn't that easy. President Xi was fantastic. He tried to help me solve it. And he didn't give any big weaponry. I guess we'll find something somewhere along the line, but he didn't give any big weaponry. I can tell you that. No, I think China I couldn't ask for much more. Again, they were impacted because they get more than 50% of their oil from the Hormuz Strait. And no, I thought they were fantastic. Okay, how about one more question right here? Go ahead, please.
The latest YouGov Economist poll shows that Democrats have lost a 5-point edge on the generic congressional ballot. They just have now just a 2-point.
Okay, so this is the last question. It's about the election. So I think we're good.
Yeah, I think we're pretty much done.
Okay, should we go do the super chat?
Yeah, Petito said that he's back and he has a 3-minute speech that he's prepared. So Petito, go ahead with what you'd like to share, and then afterwards we can go to the Q&A.
Thank you, Goldie. In fact, it's 3 parts, and each part could take 3 minutes. So tell me if it took too long. Correct me, okay? All right, can I go?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. Friends, these past days, you've seen the narrative everywhere. Trump made a deal. It's over. We lost. Let's be precise. What we are seeing right now is not a strong Islamic Republic sitting at the table. It's a loose collection of armed groups, each pulling in different directions. One day Ghalibaf speaks, the next day IRGC says something completely different. Some claim Mujtaba is alive, others say he's gone. There is no single authority that can even make a promise for next week, let alone honor one. This is what a collapsing system looks like. Not a government, but armed mercenaries fighting over scraps of power. And here's the part they don't want you to notice. Mercenaries only exist as long as they're getting paid and armed. Cut off their money and their weapons, and they just an ordinary man with no cause to die for. That's exactly what's happening right now. President Trump's goal was never to install anyone in power in Iran. His job is to protect American interests, lower oil prices, secure energy markets, stop the chaos spilling over. And look at the results. Analysts saw oil would hit $200. Today we're talking around 70. He delivered for his own people. That's not betrayal. That's keeping his words to Americans. The real chain of the revolution was never in Washington. It was forged in the streets of Iran in 1978, 88, 2009, 2019, and 2022, and again last year when millions come out across all 31 provinces under the lion and sun. Reza Pahlavi didn't create this movement. He simply refused to abandon it when it was dangerous to stand with it. We didn't need Trump or anyone else to start this fight. We needed them to stop protecting the regime and get out of the way. They did their part, now the rest belongs to us. This isn't about hoping anymore. This is about understanding the math. A regime this fractured, this broke, this divided, it doesn't survive. It doesn't survive. It only lingers as long as we believe it still have power. We are not waiting for the next protest. We are the chain. Every voice that refuses to accept their propaganda, every person inside and outside who keep the real story alive, that's how this ends. The mercenaries are running out of paychecks. The people of Iran never ran out of reasons to want their country back. Stay in the fight. The end is closer than their nose wants you to believe. That's why the real battlefield right now isn't just in the streets of Tehran. It is in how we organize ourselves. We don't need one big leader carrying everything on his shoulders anymore. The age of putting all the weight on a few famous faces is over. The future belongs to millions of small, smart actions done at the right time by the right people. Inside Iran, simply living with dignity and refusing to normalize this chaos is resistance. Some take bigger risks, some smaller. That's okay. Not everyone has to be a hero in the same way. What matters is that each person knows their own effort counts, no matter how small it looks from the outside. For us, for Iranians in diaspora, those of us who have freedom, resources, and safety, their responsibility is heavier. We have no excuse not to act. We need to stop waiting for one central command. Instead, build decentralized communities across the world, connect with each other, share ideas. Some will organize protests. Some will raise funds to support families inside. Some will focus in media, legal procedure, or technology. Different tactics, same direction. And to our international allies, Americans, Israelis, Europeans, and everyone who stood with Iranian people through this, thank you. Your support shortened this nightmare. But the final chapter of a story must be written by Iranians themselves. That's not rejection. That's dignity. The cleaner and more self-reliant this transition is, the harder it will be for anyone to call it foreign interference later. This is a network, not a pyramid. Every single one of us is a node. When millions of nodes move with purpose, even in small ways, the effect is more powerful than any missile. The regime is fragmented, broke, and arguing with itself. Their only remaining strength is our disunity. So let's take that strength away from them. Stay connected, stay purposeful, and most importantly, stay in the fight. And one more thing we must understand clearly, the Islamic Republic still has teams inside Western countries, especially in the US, whose only job is to create scandals and damage our image. We saw it during the first matches of FIFA World Cup. Simple things, handing out flags and t-shirts suddenly turns into videos that were used portray Iranians in diaspora as reckless or unserious. That wasn't random. That was coordinated. Their goal is simple. Every time we gain momentum, they manufacture a scandal to make us look bad. So for those of us in diaspora, we have to become smarter. Before every action, ask yourself, can this be twisted and used against us? Can they create the wrong narrative from this? We must think 2 steps ahead, not just with emotion, but with cold awareness of how their propaganda machine operates. To our international supporters, your concern comes from a good place, but panicking and attacking President Trump publicly every time something looks messy only helps the regime. Their greatest weapon has always been narrative control. The first rule of this war is to know your enemy. The more you understand how the Islamic Republic actually works, the less likely you are to fall into their traps. We don't need perfect unity. We need a smart, decentralized networks moving in the same direction. Some with money, some with skills, some with media, some with simple moral support. After 170 nights together here, we've already built something real. Now we're just refining it, so when victory comes, it comes clear and stronger. This is not the time to get loud. This is time to get disciplined. Stay awake, stay aware, stay sharp, and keep moving forward together.
Thank you so much, Petito. That was incredibly moving and incredibly powerful. And thank you so much for that. Always wise words from Petito, our Iranian freedom fighter who is inside of occupied Iran. And the only reason he's able to join us on Iran Revolution Live is because he's using Starlink. And of course, has to keep his identity hidden because if the Islamic regime finds out who he is, he could be executed because the very act of coming on social media and speaking out against the Islamic regime is a crime punishable by death. So thank you, Petito, for your message, for your thoughts, and for your comments. Really appreciate that.
You're more than welcome, and I'm always honored to share my thoughts with you and everyone around the world. That's why I'm here, because I feel a national duty when I have access to free internet to be voice of the voiceless in Iran.
Thank you. And that's why we do Iran Revolution Live as well, is to make sure that we are amplifying the voices of Iranians, especially Iranians inside of occupied Iran, like Petito and many others. So it always gives me a good energy boost when we're able to do this and help to amplify your voice to tens of thousands of people around the world. Okay. All right, Armin. We should probably go to our Q&A before we finish up.
Okay. We only have 20 minutes, so I'll try to go through them fast. Danny, thank you so much for the super chat saying Trump backstab Israel, selling us out to Turkey. Guys, if you actually go look at what's happening in the United States, regardless of what is being said, if you look at the laws that are being passed, the United States and Israel's army are becoming more and more intertwined. So there's what is being said, and there's also what's being done. I do admit that the words against Israel that is being said, I don't like him. I don't like hearing them. Whatever other plan behind the scene that is people might have, whatever reasons they might have. I personally don't like hearing those statements against Israel. But again, this is not in my control, and all we could do in response is, instead of complaining about it, is to just go and defend Israel. I'm Israel Chai. It's our job to go out and defend Israel instead of complaining about what things that we have no control over. And thank you, Danny, for the super chat. And guys, if you are frustrated about anything, come to our discussion group. Today is going to be open discussion. Anybody is free to everybody. You could come and tell us what you think over there. And then we have the next super chat from Jahangir. Oh, hi Jahangir, saying pause to comment is that's why we are here. Do not oh yeah, pause to comment is why we are here. Do not apologize. Well, thank you, Jahangir. Thank you. Yeah, some people were upset with me that I was pausing. Thank you for saying that. Push-ups with a super chat saying, I wish fans could at least pronounce Pahlavi right. I mean, we can't like I mean, as an Iranian, I get many pronunciations wrong. So I mean, I think we should be fine. I mean, actually, I'm actually grateful that JD Vance mentioned Pahlavi as the only alternative. Like when he was talking, it was clear that at the highest level of the United States, they see Pahlavi as the only alternative to the Islamic Republic. JD Vance mentioning that made it clear that the White House only sees Pahlavi as the only alternative to the Islamic Republic. So to me, that was amazing, actually. I don't care about the pronunciation. But thank you, Push-Ups, for the super chat. Jahangir with another super chat saying, these guys are dumb, so we can stand here today, huh? These guys are, I don't know what that was referring to, but I'm sure it made sense with the context at the time that you said that. Thank you so much, Jahangir, for the super chat. Another super chat for Jahangir saying, Trump tactical from the start, element of surprise, we will win. Yes, eventually we will win one way or another. We will win. So, yep. Maybe soon, maybe later, maybe sooner, but we're moving in the right direction. JH is saying, stupid people say keep dropping bombs. Armin, he called you out. Well, the Iranian people were asking for the bombings to continue, and so were the Israelis. And it made sense
Trump didn't say people. Trump didn't say people. Trump said nations.
Yeah,
he didn't say people. He wasn't referring to the Iranian people. He was referring to nations. He said what nation would come, like what country, what state would come and do this. He didn't actually say people. So that wasn't a reference to the Iranian people or to any other people. He was referring specifically to government policy. And that's just a reality in international law and international diplomacy, that the first option for regular, normal, democratic countries is diplomacy first before you go to war. If President Trump comes out and says, we have a war first policy, that's not going to look good on the international stage. So even though the Islamic regime is war first, so that this comment is out of context. That's not what President Trump said. He was referring to the policy of nation states, not individual people.
Yeah. And just to be clear, it's not stupid for the Iranian people to want their oppressors to be blown to pieces. And then we have the next super chat from Push-Ups saying, did he really just say he didn't want to be Hoover? Well, he is arguing for appeasement and then called other people stupid. I mean, he's not arguing for, I don't think it's fair to say President Trump is doing appeasement, given that he has done more than any other president in U.S. history when it comes to inflicting damage on the Islamic Republic. I know we have some disagreements over what is happening right now. Again, I want to go to other people, but if you want, we could come discuss it later in the next live stream. But that was just a summary response that I just had, right? So thank you for that. And then Fleshy Interloper with the super chat saying, what would Kamala do? Exactly. Every time you're upset with President Trump, just ask yourself that, what would Kamala do? And then you have to feel a lot better because it's night and day. Basically, Kamala would be an Islamic Republic ally in the White House, basically. Thank you. And Karen just became a member. Thank you so much for joining the group. And then we have Luan K, I think. I'm just going to say it like that. Thank you so much for the super chat saying, Durud, Goldie, Armin, and Petito, do you think we will reach the finish line before the end of Trump's term? If not, are you concerned about it? So my policy, again, this is my personal policy, is not to give a timeline, because if you don't reach a timeline, then it's going to cause despair. My personal policy is to look at the fact that we are the Islamic Republic is getting weaker and the opposition against the Islamic Republic is getting stronger. So that means we're moving in the right direction. The Islamic Republic has never been as weak as it is right now, and the Iranian people have never been as strong as they are right now. So that means that things are moving in the right direction. So it might be a marathon instead of a sprint that people were expecting. It might take longer than many people hope, but we're still moving in the right direction. That's the way I see it. And then Jahangir with another super chat. Thank you so much, Jahangir, saying he is fighting for Israel more than any other president. True. Yeah, again, we could compare it to Democrats. It's still better than Democrats. Resistance within this party, within resistance within his party and the EU. Yep. West alliance with the Muslim Brotherhood, Western alliance with the Muslim Brotherhood, and the media overtaken, brainwashing everyone. Sweden hates Trump thanks to the media. Okay, so you're taking President Trump is basically fighting on so many different fronts, and that's what we have to understand, that he's not just fighting against the Islamic Republic. There's many other enemies that he has to deal with, and that might explain a lot of the strategy. Really good point, Jahangir. Thank you for that context. And then Rafi, thank you so much for the super chat. Oh, sorry guys, this is me having to go to the discussion group. Rafi is saying, don't mind Trump trashing Israel to win mid-elections, as long as behind the table we keep kicking IRGC's behind Javisha. That's a very good point, Rafi. Like, we have to look at what's happening rather than what is being said. However, if that is the strategy, because you're right, like President Trump needs to do whatever he needs to do to do as much as possible for the Democrats not take over, because that whatever complaints you have about President Trump, the Democrats taking over would be better. So some of these might be like this strategy to basically get an upper hand in the midterms. You're completely right. It is true though that the words that are being said, if that's a part of a bigger strategy, it does still cause some damage to Israel, and it is our responsibility. Like maybe President Trump has his own plan and good reasons for saying what he's saying. I don't know, but it is important for us pro-Israelis to come out and defend Israel whenever something like that is being said about Israel, in my opinion. Let me know if you agree with that. And then, by the way, yep, I think you do, by the way. We got another super chat from William saying, not Israelis still appreciate your defense of them. Well, thank you, William. I think the whole world benefits from Israel being stronger, because Israel is a wall between the world's enemies and the world. And supporting Israel is supporting the world. And thank you, William, for the super chat. Fickle Nut with a super chat saying, thank goodness Trump won the election. I shudder to think where the world would be if he didn't win. Exactly. Guys, every time you feel disappointed, just remind yourself what would be, how much worse the situation would be if the Democrats had won this. Valerie, thank you so much for the super chat saying, dear Ronaldo, some come, some go, bye-bye. Love our smashing president. Thank you, Valerie. Good super chat. Thank you. Jangur with another super chat saying, it just goes over a lot of people's heads. Yep, I see what you're talking about regarding your previous comment. And then we have Push-Ups with another super chat saying, there should be no dollars funding, dollars fund or otherwise. What the F? So Push-Ups, the 24 so there's a $24 billion one and there's a $300 billion, right? As far as we know, regarding what President Trump and JD Vance and others have been saying, $24 billion, if it's true, if everything is saying is true, even if that gets released, it's going to be based on behavior. And even people are like, well, nothing should be released, even if it is based on behavior. The behavior that is expected of the Islamic Republic, this is disarming the Islamic Republic. So the Islamic Republic would have to give up, if it goes the way that they say it's going to go, the Islamic Republic would have to give up things that are more valuable to it than $24 billion. And also remember that during Operation Epic Fury, the Islamic Republic lost so much more than $24 billion, and this is a small fraction of it. The $300 billion is nothing that will be given to the Islamic Republic. In fact, I could argue, and I argued this in my previous live stream, that what the conditions that they're putting in for private companies, not the United States, to go invest in Iran, again, nothing again, remember, none of this is all of this is an MOU. It's a dream. Like we haven't seen any of this happen. And it just because it's on a piece of paper, it doesn't mean it's going to happen. Even if and we have to see the piece of paper. But the way that they're talking about it right now is these are private companies that will go invest in Iran. If the economy opens. If the economy opens, that means that money is not going to go to the IRGC. This is actually would be a design, a plan to destroy the IRGC, because the IRGC's entire power, economic influence, and military power comes from being isolationist, comes from having a command economy structure, comes from having monopolies over many industries within Iran, comes from being anti-Americanism and anti-Israeli. Opening the economy of Iran to the global world is not funding the IRGC, is actually an attack on the IRGC. And the IRGC actually would fear that $300 billion. So wouldn't benefit from it if what they're saying about it is actually true. But we could go into more details regarding the nature of IRGC and how it has power within Iran if you guys want more in detail later.
I'll give a very, very basic and simple example. So there's a reason why within occupied Iran, you cannot find a single franchise store, right? So think about like McDonald's, okay? You can find McDonald's everywhere in the world. You can find McDonald's in Russia. I think they closed it down, though, I think because of maybe the Ukraine war, I can't remember. But, at some point, like Russia, China, the UAE, McDonald's is one of those places that, one of those fast food restaurants you can find everywhere in the world. Where you can't find it inside of occupied Iran, because the Islamic regime is a totalitarian dictatorship. It's not just about oppressing the people, it's about oppressing and controlling the economy. Every single business is basically beholden to them. And, they're like a mafia. They control everything. So, theoretically, let's say if McDonald's was going to open up in occupied Iran, not that it ever would when the Islamic regime is in power, but theoretically, if it was going to, that would be very bad for the Islamic regime, because the Islamic regime would not be able to control that business anymore, right? So this is where sort of this thought of, or this, possibility of opening up Iran to the global market is actually very bad for the Islamic regime, because that means they will not have control over 90% of the country's economy. Because again, one of the ways the Islamic regime is funding terrorism around the world and also keeping itself in power is through complete control of the economy, right? Like no one ever thinks about that. Like all these chain stores that are available everywhere around the world, you can't find them in any, like even like even like fashion stores. Like I don't know, think of like H&M, right? Or Levi's, or whatever like brand or whatever. There's literally not a single franchise store in occupied Iran from anywhere else in the world. And that's because the regime has had complete control of it. However, prior to 1979, various factories, like prior to 1979, Mountain Dew had a production facility in Iran under the Shah's time. Same thing with Coca-Cola, right? Like they had production plants in Iran prior to 1979. So that global economy existed. It was only when the regime took over that they cut off Iran from the rest of the world in order to control the money and the economy.
All right. Let me go through these rest of these quick. I'm going to send a message. I'm going to be a little bit late for the discussion group. Just sorry, guys, about that. Let me unstart this one. Okay, Jahangir with another super chat saying Hamas takes all the money instead of building society for their citizens. They build tunnel. IRGC gets money and build nuke in mountain instead of investing in infrastructure and healthcare. Exactly right. You got that completely correctly. Thank you so much, Jahangir. Why with the super chat saying Armin, I emailed you the U.S. Army handbook on citizens tactics and self-defense. Plan A is ending. Plan B begins. This is a new day. Cheer up, everyone. Thank you so much, Wyatt, for that. It might be it's good. I saw it in my inbox. I haven't had time to check it, but it's good that I have that as a resource in my inbox. And at some point, I'm going to forward it to the people that we need for them to review it. And sorry if I can't answer every single one of my emails, but I did see it hitting my inbox. So thank you so much for that. And then we have Nila Renee. Thank you so much for the super chat, saying my encouragement is the Iranian people. We all knew from the beginning it would be up to them to take back their nation. Exactly correct. It seems like something should happen sooner rather than later, right? Yeah, Nila, what I think needs to happen sooner rather than later is arming the Iranian people. That's what I think. And I think many people agree with me on that. And thank you so much for supporting us. 40 Winks, thank you so much for the super chat, saying MEK pays US politicians and DC elites for favor. Pahlavi doesn't. Do you want the US to force regime change in favor of MEK? That's why VP Vance avoids forcing regime change. Iranians must do it, not the US. I mean, to be fair, the MEK doesn't have any chance becoming the government inside Iran, but you're correct. One way or another, this should be up to the Iranian people. It shouldn't be something that the United States forces upon Iran, for sure, that like or implements in Iran. That's what installs. It shouldn't be a US installed government. That's 100% correct. Nila, thank you so much for the super chat, saying love you, Patito. XOXOXO, good to see you more lately, sweetheart. Okay, that's beautiful. Thank you so much, Nila. All right, and then we go to Kevin. Thank you so much for the super chat, saying could the Syrian jihadist army invade, liberate, and occupy the Bekaa Valley of Lebanon and team with Israel air power and intelligence and defeat Hezbollah? I mean, things have to change significantly, and things might change significantly. But my understanding is that the Israelis don't trust the Syrian army. You remember, as soon as Assad fell, the first thing the Israelis did was go into Lebanon and destroy all of their military equipments. And I think Israel, has a lot of experience with how bad it is to basically arm jihadis against other jihadis. It seems sometimes like a good idea at the time, but often it backfires. So I don't think Israel would be comfortable with that unless things might change. And again, remember, like when it comes to two militaries working with each other, there needs to be a lot of integration happening that I don't see these jihadis having the capability of being able to integrate with the Israeli military. And I think that as of right now, at least the Israeli military is a lot more efficient on its, without other people getting involved. But again, if the Americans' calculations might change based on political decisions that are being made in Washington or somewhere else, or other forces might change that behavior. But as of right now, I don't think the Israelis would be comfortable with that unless certain things changes. Thank you so much for the question. And then Jahangir again, thank you so much, saying the Donald hearts Israel heart. Love the Donald and love Israel. Thank you so much for supporting us, Jahangir, all the time. And Kevin with the super chat, saying the Chinese communists triad fentanyl smuggling gangsters brought their ruling Liberal government of Canada to allow fentanyl smuggling into US and fentanyl money launching in Vancouver, BC banks.
Yeah,
I know
that's been a huge issue. This is something that I actually, this was one of the files that I worked on back when I was an elected official. And yeah, this is something very, very well known to, police and others who are looking into this. But yeah, unfortunately, a lot of fentanyl is smuggled in from China. And unfortunately, the Canadian government, Mark Carney and the Liberals, they're not doing much about it. It's shameful. It's terrible, actually. Meanwhile, they go around saying that China is their best ally or whatever. Like, it's wild.
Thank you for that, Goldie. And then we have Jahangir again saying they sent drones and weapons and they say stayed neutral because U.S. and Israel because U.S. Okay, but they sent drones and weapons and they stayed neutral because U.S. and Israel showcased what they do. Oh, they showed what they could do with the technology and weapons. They got stunned, and as we got. Okay, that's you're saying that's why they stayed back. And Jangir again with another super chat saying drill baby drill. Yep, I agree with that. Thank you so much. Yep, deregulation, allow the free markets to increase, the amount of energy that it is in the for as much as it's needed for for industries to grow. Kevin again, thank you so much, saying why is President Trump not criticizing NATO ally President Erdogan and Turkey for not doing anything to help US in their own neighborhood, Azerbaijan? I think we don't. I think President Trump has something behind the scenes happening with Turkey right now, and I think he's for political reasons he's avoiding attacking him, and there's something that he's planning. President Trump is planning a lot right now, something in Syria. And I think that for political reasons, he's using the Erdogan's, influence over al-Shara in Syria, and that's why he's holding back right now. That's the main reason, I think. But we'll see. Thank you so much. I don't know, Karo, I don't know how to pronounce the first part, but thank you, Karo. Karo saying, Armin, is Ghalibaf proposing a new tactic for the Third Republic? Give up the enriched uranium and the nuclear bomb for the survival of the Republic? What if this gets almost unanimous support in the Islamic Republic? The reason why I think that's what Ghalibaf is trying to do for his own survival, and he wants to be the head of the Third Republic. The reason why that's really hard to pull off is because the plan Ghalibaf has is something that needs to satisfy the Americans, but that would require opening up the economy, and that will completely destroy the IRGC's model and their grip on power. So even if some parts of the IRGC submits because they're being threatened by the Americans to submit, or else they're going to be bombed, there are parts of IRGC that will resist this because their entire grip of power will be completely dismantled if the economic model within the Iran changes that way. And that's why I think you will continue to see some resistance from different fragments of the IRGC, but the parts of the IRGC, we'll have to see if the parts of the IRGC that are trying to submit would be able to overcome the parts of the IRGC that are trying to resist. But this also shows how very difficult it is to get a deal because of this internal struggle. We have to see how successful Ghalibaf could be when it comes to getting everybody in line. And thank you for the super chat. Ian with a super chat saying, isn't even a tiny bit of what is this? Daghdaghe? Oh, Daghdaghe from the Iran citizenry enough to change the equation? Is that Daghdaghe? Would Basij be the same if they felt the crosshairs on them? Okay, if you're talking about the anxiety, Daghdaghe, I'm assuming is the anxiety in Persian, right? Even a little bit of the IRGC citizenry enough to change the equation. I don't know, would the Basiji be the same if they felt the crosshairs on them? So, okay, so here's the thing. The people within the Basij and the IRGC, they are not a monolith, right? Some of them are there for money. Some of them are there for ideological reasons. Some of them are ready to be martyrs. Some of them, yes, they will change their behavior if they feel threatened. This is not just within the Basij. This is within the entire body of the IRGC. That's why since yesterday and the day before, you saw many of the most important officials of the IRGC, basically bending the knee to Ghalibaf's takeover. We saw Ghani do that. We saw Abdullahi do that. We saw Musavi do that. We haven't seen Vahidi do that yet. But these are people who are more motivated by staying alive, and they now fear Ghalibaf because of what he can do to them using death threat from President Trump. So it really depends on the type of Basiji, but yes, that's true for some of them. Many of them, I would assume. Kevin, thank you so much, saying, who do you trust more, Vance, Rubio, Hexed? For me, it's Rubio. Yeah, easy answer. I think for many Iranians, it's Rubio. Easy. Second Hexed, third Vance. And thank you. And I think many Iranians would agree with me on that. Jahangir, thank you so much for saying that is easy. That's an easy one. Marco Rubio, there you go. Jahangir as another Iranian agrees with me on that point. And Ashley, thank you so much, saying Ukrainian drones plus US.
I wanted to add something to that. So, as someone who's been in politics, I don't actually trust politicians, right? Like, no one should just inherently trust politicians. And I say this as someone with experience, right? What I say, who is the most trustworthy? Definitely Marco Rubio, right? Based on his actions and his statements and his comments and everything like that. But to say that, like you wholeheartedly trust any single politician, because conditions can change, situations can change. I say this as someone who's literally a former politician, right? Now, I was never in any position where, I said something and then I change it afterwards. But this is something that happens quite frequently in politics, because you're looking at various factors, and, the equation might change and all of that. So to say that, like, you inherently trust any politician, that would be like the first mistake to make in politics. But I mean, the only person that I trust in politics is His Royal Highness Reza Pahlavi, and that's because I don't see him as a politician. Like, he's someone who's above and beyond politics, right? But in terms of who is the most trustworthy based on the consistency of their messaging, that I would say is Marco Rubio.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's why I also said Marco Rubio. And thank you so much for that. And then Ashley said Ukrainian drones plus US Face ID, Iranian pilots equals Durka hunting phase 2. Yes, exactly. How is the website that IDs regime supporters going? Oh, I don't know. I haven't seen it being functioning. Potito, can you give a quick response on the website that was basically IDing regime supporter? Yeah. I think Potito. Okay, if Potito opens his mic, I think he's not behind his computer. If he opens his mic, I will stop talking. And thank you for that. And by the way, I agree with the first part of your super chat. Fleshy Interloper, thank you so much, saying thank you, Potito. Yep, thank you, Fleshy Interloper. And yes, obviously, thank you, Potito, always. Omid with the super chat saying no more excuses for the left if IRGC ruins the memorandum of understanding. Yeah, that's actually pretty good. If they don't abide by that, then we have all the legitimacy to go and F things up. Yeah, exactly. Good point. Jan Gray with the super chat saying this speech makes me so proud to be called Iranian. Thank you for your speech. Thank you, Jangir, for being here with us. Appreciate you being by our side. Fleshy Interloper saying, I'm Israel Chai. I'm Israel Chai, right back at you. This one, okay, so I know what this is. I went and screenshotted it. Thank you so much. And your name, I screenshotted it so I could be able to pronounce it. Ezekiel I still suck at it. Ezekiel, I'm just going to say the first word. Ezekiel, thank you so much for supporting us. I couldn't pronounce it the Hebrew, so I gave it to Gemini to read it for me. And then also your super chat is so it's in Hebrew, but it translates to, so it's a Hebrew written in Latin script, and it translates to the Iranian nation lives and endures. And because you wrote it like that, I'm going to try to read it anyways. Ha'am ha'irani. Oh my God. Ve kayam. I'm pretty sure I nailed that, by the way. I'm pretty sure I nailed that. But again, it translates to the Iranian nation lives and endures. Oh, I'm Israel Chai. Oh, ha'am ha'irani chai ve kayam. Yes, perfect, 100%. I'm pretty sure I got it. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for always supporting us, by the way. Father of Chaos just gifted 5 memberships to Liberty Politics. Thank you so much for doing that. Agent Anderson with a super chat saying Trump won with millions of throw the bombs out voters. Republicans won't get that support in 2026 or 2028. Well, this unless maybe we don't know. They might do the same, but maybe you're right. We'll see. Thank you for that. David, thank you so much for the super chat saying 300 million billion. It's billion, it's not million. 300 billion of investments are like stocks. They are theoretical values until money is withdrawn, invested. Yeah, and it's from private companies that will only be invested if the Islamic Republic opens their economy, which will basically be the beginning of the end for IRGC if that ever happens. And then 24 million, it's 24 billion. Sorry, $24 billion foreign assets. Iran is overseas bank and institutions due to sanctions. Yeah, and it belongs to the Iranian people. So I mean, I still get it. The $24 billion would be something that the Islamic Republic has to give something more valuable for it. So I'm not, mad over that, but I see what your point is. And then we have super backers saying, thank you so much, by the way, saying, how can you arm the people when it's not clear who supports who? Big change.
I think
you arm
big
regime
chance.
supporters, right?
Big chance.
Big chance, yes. Yeah, so guys, that's why the arming of the Iranian people needs to happen under the supervision and coordination with Prince Reza Pahlavi. I actually talked to some important people, and they gave me the green light to talk about this way. The arming needs to be vetted. Like if you go and drop some weapons inside Iran, obviously you're going to be arming the IRGC. There needs to be a vetting process, a training process, and then the arming process. And it all needs to be done with the collaboration with Prince Reza Pahlavi and his team. That's the only way to get this done. There's no other way, right? It should be used, no other method should be used. And thank you, but that's a valid point to bring up. Thank you so much for that. Push-ups to the super chat saying disagree, but now I want McDonald's. Okay, well, I disagree with that as well, because that's not good for you. Okay, go eat something healthy. You're doing push-ups, so eat healthy as well. If you're exercising, also eat healthy. So see, we can't even agree on that, push-ups. Jahangir, thank you for the super chat saying Erdogan is our next target after RGC. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, I like how you think, Jahangir. And then we have another super chat from Fuxa saying, love the MOU, can't wait for the lovely sirens. Oh yeah, okay, yep. We're gonna look out for that, because we might see a lot of different form of sirens in the form of pro-regime people crying when the MOU is signed. Okay, so look out for that siren. And thank you so much for that. And then John, thank you so much. Last super chat. Thank you, saying this isn't a major political topic, but is cool and loosely related to Iran. Did you know that there is a project to bring back the Caspian tiger in Kazakhstan?
Yeah,
Kazakhstan, you guys say. Or we say Kazakhstan. Yeah, Kazakhstan. Yes, okay, Kazakhstan. Are you familiar with that animal? Oh my, wow, that's actually a pretty cool Caspian tiger. Okay, well, that's good to know. I did not know that, but now I know because of you. So thank you so much for informing us, John. Appreciate you telling us that. So guys, I am so late, and we are going to our discussion group right now. And let me bring up the widget. Where's the widget? There we go. So guys, the QR code in the top right brings you to our discussion group. The link, oh no, I don't have the link. No, okay. The link in the chat that I'm going to post right now will bring you to our discussion group. And look, guys, today is open discussion. That means anybody and everybody could join. It's free for everybody. The link is in the chat. The link is in the QR code. The link is also on Liberty Politics, the bio section of Liberty Politics right here. And also we're going to be streaming it. We're going to be streaming our discussion. This is over here. So if you don't want to come to the discussion group, you could just come listen to it live on the YouTube channel, or just come in here, just click on here and just join the discussion and, speak to the rest of us. And so that's what I'm going to be doing right now, as soon as we end the stream. And Goldie, what are you going to be doing for the rest of the day?
I have a media interview at 4, and then I'm going live at 5 to talk about Goldie and expose Goldie, the man that President Trump supposedly says is reasonable. So that's what I'm doing. Right.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, that also reminds me, tomorrow I'm going to be at I-24. They're going to be interviewing at I-24. And thank you, Goldie, for all the opportunities that you have given me for being able to do all of this.
Happy to do it.
Thank you.
Happy to do it. All right, guys. Until tomorrow.
I'm Israel Chai. Long live America.
God bless America. Javid Shah. پاینده
ایران.
غرق انقلاب است. کشور ما، تاریخ ما نفسی دگر فرا گرفته، گویی اهورا مستا دوباره در نور خود مرا گرفته. اکنون سرودی سر میدهم باز فارغ از رنج و تشویش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. هن ای پدر، هن ای پسر، برخیز و با ما شو همگام، تا درد آن تجربه تلخ ما را نکشیده در خواب. بگذار هر دم بغرند گرگ‌ها دم لباس میش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. ای کارگر، ای برزگر، راحت کنون ادامه دارد در این زمان که پرتو یزدان از هر سو بر تو میبارد. پس پیش به سوی آزادی از بحر خزر تا کیش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. خلقا به پا بهر دفاع از استقلال و آزادی، تا بشکنیم پشت ارتجاع تیریزی ویران آبادی. تا زنده سازیم سنت‌های می از من آیین و کیش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. با امید روزی که تمام این دلبشو و انقلاب تموم بشه و ما در روشنایی، نور و سعادت مردم کشورمون غرق بشیم. نه خارجی، نه بیگانه، نه مستشارهای ویرانی، نه چیر خاران، نه کاسه لیسان، فقط هم رزمان ایرانی. ما با شرافت میهنی بسازیم بهر فرزندان خویش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. مردان بیایید داخل صف ما، اکنون که آغاز رویاست. دشمنان بدانید ما زنده هستیم، بعد از ما هم ایران پابرجاست. آن روح شیطان ما را فریب داد با صد شعار مردمیش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. پرچم ما، پرچم ایران غرق خون شهیدان. روی شانه هامان حمل میکنیمش در هر خیابان و میدان تا ماسک دلقکان را برداریم از روی تسبیح و ریگ